Hey guys, Noel here, and it is Tuesday night, and while I have a little bit of free time on my hands, I thought it would be fun to do a live stream for our beloved Noel ComiX YouTube channel, which has been pretty busy today. We had two videos included on the channel today, one of which is, sorry, I had a little technical difficulty there. One of those videos was my Shonen Jump 100th Anniversary Tetsuka contest entry. So if you have a half an hour to kill, enjoy that. And the other was a review of a game that we have played on our live streams, and that is All Night Nippon Super Mario Brothers. If you like Tomori, if you like Fuji TV, if you like Japanese pop culture from the late 1980s and you love your Famicom and Mario, that game is the game for you. So tonight, I originally was thinking we were going to do some PSP. I actually brought up the little Sansui TV that has component inputs in the back with progressive capacity. The only other TV that has component is the 42-inch in the living room. That component's got progressive. And then we've got this TV here, which has interlaced component. So the PSP will only work with progressive component video. So I got this little guy up here, and he's all raring to go. But the PSP was not holding a charge, so I'm going to have to let it charge up. So I called an audible and decided we would explore the wonderful world of Street Fighter 3, the new generation. So Street Fighter 2, obviously the most influential fighting game of all time, and I will throw down over that debate. Its sequel went in a very interesting direction. Many of the core characters, really all of them except for Ken and Ryu, were gone. And we had a new cast of spiritual successor characters, along with just some brand new characters, rendered in a beautiful anime painted art style, and the movements, the design, they really resembled a lot of Street Fighter, the animated movie. So it's good stuff. So we are actually going to play through Street Fighter 3, the new generation, and then I'm thinking we'll just play up through Third Strike and then see where the stream takes us. As you know, I have all of the Street Fighter games, so if we decide to play something else, we can in terms of the Street Fighter library, and we can always play something else should the audience so desire. So without further ado, we'll get on to playing some Street Fighter 3, the new generation, on the Xbox One through the Street Fighter Anniversary Collection right now. And if you guys are interested in seeing some artwork I'm working on or things like that, we can also do that later in the stream. Since completing my manga, I've been kind of on a drawing kick, so that's good. Although I don't know how long I'll be able to maintain that now that the school year is looming. So that'll definitely mean we'll be doing fewer live streams, but I'm planning on doing at least one a week. But we'll just see, how my schedule is looking. Maybe we can do more. We'll at least try to do a couple YouTube videos a week. So there we go. So we have Ken versus Dudley. Dudley, a gentleman's fighter. Not at all like Balrog, a.k.a. M. Bison, the crazy buffalo, who bites people's ears off and works for M. Bison, or Vega, as he's known in Japan. There's Alex, looking like Dio. So, Street Fighter 2, and really Street Fighter 1, went for that semi-realistic anime style, right? They had kind of that 2.5D, really nice shading and shadow that created that 3D effect, but everything was done in very beautiful anime sprites. Hey, what's going on, International Channel for Life? As we all know, International Channel is, of course, for life, like the NWO. Street Fighter Alpha slash Zero went right for the throat, going for that anime style of really vibrant, solid colors. Oh, thank you so much, man. I'm glad you like the manga. I really enjoyed making it. I'm definitely going to be making more manga in the future now that I've kind of gotten back in the groove. I've already got some ideas for new manga. Hopefully I'll be able to pump them out. Of course, without the process, you should make a game about. They should make a game about it. That would be awesome. And we could always do more stories about those characters as well, because they're a motley crew. Actually, the one I'm thinking of, I spent the last manga dealing with a lot of my experiences and things that I liked through the framework of a combination of Bloodsport and my college experiences. I went to an evangelical Christian high school, and so now I'm thinking of, if that one action manga took place in the world of secular liberal lunacy, maybe the next manga we can go to the other side of the spectrum and have it take place within the context of a evangelical Christian high school, which definitely has a lot, in my experience, is nicer people. But, I've actually been reading a lot of Steel Ball Run, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I'm actually a big fan of the Dio in that, with his crazy monster transformation. So I've got this idea, because when I was at my high school, we had these people come up from Southern Baptist colleges to come and try to recruit people, and kind of the line in terms of biology was like 6 literal days of creation, and then of course with that you always have the thank you so much, man. It's really stiff competition. I mean, honestly, I think my work looks definitely unique. I think it stands out from the crowd, but the crowd has got some real heavy hitters in it. I did my best to follow what the judges asked for, and that's all you can really do. But my idea that I'm kind of working on in my head is to have something kind of within the aesthetic of that early 90s Marvel Image style, the Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld type costumes, have it take place within a Christian high school, and have the antagonist be a hyper-evolved dinosaur that can both prove creation and evolution, because the dinosaur is 6,000 years old and knew Adam and Eve, but he evolved into a human being. So something like, I'm thinking of something along those lines. I'm still fleshing out the ideas. I don't know if it's a good idea or not. And I have this character in mind. It would be this like kind of nerdy, disaffected kid that would try to trigger this guy to turn into the dinosaur so he could take control of him and try to take over the school. So that's kind of the idea that I'm playing with in my head for another manga. But that's just some ideas that have been knocking in my head today. Actually, I've been doing another contest. It's just an illustration contest for your ideal waifu through Metabang, and so I've inked that picture. But thanks for showing interest in my artwork, and I'll definitely try to stay sharp, because that is really, my dream is to be published in Shonen Jump, even if, I just want to say that I was in there, but, I know it's a long shot. I know they've got some really good stuff, but I don't know. You're probably not going to find a manga with a overweight, hysterical philosophy professor that corrupts an angel that then turns into a crime boss and destroys an upstate New York City, while turning his experiments into mutant rat people, while his former partner and a undercover cop team up through the framework of the university to infiltrate his underground fighting tournament, and only for them not to succeed, but the villain to be felled by his own beliefs in what they produce. So there. I don't know. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's me. That's what that comic is. So let's play some Street Fighter. Um, so send Santino to a Christian school because it's not looking good for the public school system in this country. Listen, man. I can't comment on that, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm a public school teacher, and I can't comment on that, but I'm not saying you're wrong. So I do my best, and I love my boss, and my coworkers are cool. But I have nothing but good things to say about my little evangelical Christian school that I went to. So, in fact, I mean, that's one of my, because I still stay in touch with the principal and things. I've been kind of like sketching out designs for that comic. The principal was this like chubby guy, and I'm kind of playing with this idea of having him look kind of like Cable, but still being chubby, but having like that kind of, those metal arms. And instead of having a giant bazooka, he'd have like a giant paddle that he, would hit kids with if they were bad. It would be like a big pizza spatula. I came up with that because like he really had like a kind of a joke thing in his office. He had like a big pizza spatula with a chunk taken out of it, and it said the butt board on it. Because he was like, if he, effed with him, he'd like, corporal punishment was on the table kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know, man. So it's just, everyone just does their best. Again, just the artwork in this game is beautiful. And, aesthetically speaking, New Generation is my favorite of the Street Fighter 3 games. I think Street Fighter 3 Third Strike has the beautiful rap music, and it's got I think the best character roster, with Q, and even though like I suck with Q, but I like his character a lot. And it's got, Chun-Li's in it, which is super cool. So I think Street Fighter 3 has got the best roster, but first Street Fighter 3 New Generation has definitely got the best style, and it's really such a shame that they got rid of the victory and defeat screen, those beautiful paintings that were customized with individual artworks of both characters. So, I'd really like to get some more international channel videos, going on the channel, International Channel 4 Life. But I need to get a new capture card, and I need to get my laptop fixed. My son lost my capture card, and the laptop I have is just such a piece of crap. My son is like dying to get Mugen. American comic books were not the same after the 90s. They used to have better art. That's no joke, man. So this is my take on this. Okay, so I just drew with enthusiasm and absolutely no training when I was in high school. So my stuff had palpable enthusiasm and personality, but was not always aesthetically pleasing. I had no idea what a color wheel was. My proportions were all out of whack. I was just kind of feeling it out and trying to mimic what I liked. But there was no form or no knowledge of formal technique. And then I went to SUNY Cortland, which doesn't have much in terms of an art program, but it has an art program. And it had, really good professors who cared about the students and gave us instruction while at the same time really encouraging us to just go and do our own thing. And so history was the thing I got my degrees in, because I knew that was going to be stable, and I knew that history had deep intellectual and really spiritual substance to it. So, I mean, that would really help you understand, in a lot of ways, like the meaning of life and analysis and, continuity and change and, just really looking at human behavior and human ideals and interests. And that really, I knew that was going to be worthwhile, and that even though art was my passion and there was nothing I loved to do more than draw, it was not going to be easy to support yourself doing that or make a living doing that. So I went with the history degree, but I always took I always tried to take at least one art class a semester, and did get to do some figure drawing. And that was my formal art training, where I got my technique. And I mean, and it is what it is. I'm certainly no grandmaster. So what I'm going to say is that, when I look at modern comics now, It looks like someone rolled out of an art school, like a real. They like spent a ton of time in art school, and now they're just drawing comics. And there's no personality, there's no enthusiasm. They just want to show off that what they can draw, and there's no, and it's dead, it's lifeless, and it's pretentious, and it doesn't look or feel like a comic book. And that's, I think, the big problem with American comic books. Like, who I've been really into recently? Rob Liefeld, right? And that guy, if you search him up on YouTube, he gets so much shade thrown at him. Hey, Allie, how you doing, man? History gonna show me the meaning of life. So if I fail in history, I fail in life. Yep, that's the truth. It's not that history is gonna show you the. This is the deal. History is about people's pursuit of the meaning of life and money. That is what history is about. It's about people's ideals and interests. So, I mean, it's not going to show you the meaning of life, but it's per se, but it's going to show people's struggles with life in pursuing their ideals and interests on a whole host of levels. And that's what's really interesting about history and studying it in that sense. Now, the problem with studying history in high school and junior high is that the way that it's taught and the way really that we, kind of have to teach it, given the structure that we're in, is that, you really, I want you to understand the deep meaning behind things, but you also need to understand the concrete nuts and bolts. And you have to try to, present the information in a way that, number one, is digestible for the students at the age range that they're at. And number two, makes it so that you can function as a teacher and do your job as a teacher. I could sit down. I'd love to just sit down and have an intellectual discussion with everybody. But but the problem is, it's you have to be mature enough and interested enough to have those kinds of discussions. And in addition to that, it helps to have the nuts and bolts background information to that. And that aspect of history is not always the most engaging. So really, I mean, it's a two-way street. Your writing is really good too. I think you can make it as an independent comedy writer. Cool. Awesome. You know what I did with that story, man? I just literally took everything that I liked and combined it together. I said, you know what? I'm just going to make the TV show that I want to see. And I said to myself, this takes place in the same universe as the television show Matlock. Now, that has nothing to do with the story at all. But, while I wrote the manga, I was, watching Matlock. I was watching, Anna manga of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Steel Ball Run. I was watching Steel Ball Run. I was watching sitcoms from the 1980s. I was thinking about my experiences in college. I was thinking about, the ironies of current events and, just what I want to see. I want to see a sitcom that turns into an action movie. Like Bloodsport is my all-time favorite movie. I want to combine Bloodsport and a sitcom. So that's what I did. Garbage. They too dumb. Yeah. Well, I'm not. It's not that they're dumb. It's just that they're not willing. It's not that. Okay, let's put it this way. It's not that they're dumb. It's just not. They're just not buying into the game. That's the thing. I can do my best to make you like history, but it's the old expression, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. If you go in there with a negative attitude and you're just not disciplined and not willing to try, or even just understanding that your teacher's not perfect all the time and life can't always be fun and games, and sometimes your teacher might make a mistake in terms of, either management or delivery, or sometimes you're just going to have to do a lesson that's not that exciting because, just there's an ebb and flow to the way that teaching is, So there's got to be, an empathy and an understanding on the part of the student, and understand that it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows, and your teacher isn't a perfect person, but, your teacher is going to do their darndest to do their job properly, and, even if history isn't your thing, there's still something that you can get out of the experience of just trying to learn a craft or be around someone who's teaching a craft, and just that idea of just observing and trying to be disciplined and trying to just make something out of a situation that's not your comfort zone. not every skill that you learn in school is even about the subject that you're in. It's just about the experience of learning and growing as a person. Noel, what do you think about WWE's Thunderdome? I think it's not a bad idea. I watched SummerSlam. I thought it was terrible. But not because of the Thunderdome. I actually there's sometimes I actually forgot that it wasn't an actual live audience. So I think it's actually a really clever idea. I actually really like what AEW does though, where they have limited crowds and wrestlers. So they have limited socially distanced crowds of a small amount to give some kind of independent reaction, and then they have the wrestlers, pretty much in character acting like an audience. So I think AEW, when I watch AEW, it doesn't feel awkward. When I watch WWE, the product feels awkward, and I'm Alex, the blonde guy. The guy who just won, who just said weak. So, I think WWE's product is terrible, but I think Thunderdome is an interesting idea. I mean, WWE, I've always been a WCW guy, but I've never hated WWE. I've never been one of those guys that's like, oh, F WWE, fun like WWF, right? I never wanted them to I don't think I would have cared if they went out of business, but I was never rooting for them to go out of business. And it's say the whole Marvel versus DC thing. I like Marvel and DC. I don't care. I like Super Nintendo and Sega. I like Sega better. I like PlayStation better than Xbox, but I'm playing an Xbox, so I mean, I'm one of those people that's if it's cool, I like it, And actually, a lot of the time, sometimes I choose Xbox over PlayStation just to beef up my Xbox collection. And there's things that one does that the other doesn't. The same thing with wrestling. But I've never been a WWE guy. I'm not one of those loyal WWE fans. I've always been the guy who loved WCW and rooted for the successors to WCW. And that said, the fact that WWE is just terrible right now, I have no interest in watching it. I watched SummerSlam because my friend invited me to his house because he really wanted to host it. I would not have watched it if it wasn't for that. And I'm not, and if you like WWE now, I'm not, shitting on you or shitting on I'm shitting on the product, but it's, if you like it, that's awesome. I just think that WWE right now, the writing is terrible. It's overproduced. It has no personality. There's no character that I want to be or identify with. That's the kind of thing. You have to find a character that you either identify with or aspire to be. I would say the last time WWE had that, I'm a bald guy with stubble, and so I really liked Antonio Cesaro. I'm Italian, so I really liked Antonio Cesaro. I thought he had a really cool look. He had a cool personality. And I liked him. I liked his fighting style. I thought he was cool. He was kind of like someone I was you know what? I kind of want to look like that guy. He's a cool guy. And then there was Santino Marella. He was hilarious. His character was from Calabria, where my family's from. I actually named my son Santino, after Santino Marella, because when my wife suggested the name Santino, I immediately thought of him. Hulk Hogan in WWE, or the other one. LOL bald, yes. Hulk Hogan in WWE was cool, but Hulk Hogan in WCW was better. Real American is one of my all-time favorite songs. I loved, growing up, my first memories are of Hulk Hogan in the WWF. And, I was not, I was really little. I was 5, So, I always had my Viewmaster with Hulk Hogan, and I had the Rock and Wrestling book with, 3D goggles. And, in my mind, it's it is a little 5-6-year-old. I knew there was another wrestling company, but I just wasn't interested in watching it because I really liked Hulk Hogan. And my first memory of pro wrestling is Hulk Hogan and Macho Man fighting backstage. I think it was that scene where they were fighting over Miss Elizabeth, and one of them was getting thrown off a gurney. So I remember, that's my first real memory of watching pro wrestling. But I never knew when wrestling was on, and it was just something that's I thought it was cool, but I never actually watched it religiously. And, around 93, I remember my mom, used to get rides to school with, our neighbor, and I used to ride with them because I went to a school called St. Mary's, and my mom and her friend taught at a place called Homer High School. And so they dropped me off at St. Mary's and go to Homer, and this other lady's kids would be in the back seat, and they'd talk about wrestling. And I'm like, oh, I like Hulk Hogan. And they're like, Hulk Hogan sucks, because it was like 93, and, Hulk Hogan was kind of declining in popularity in the WWF. But I didn't care. I saw Hulk Hogan was the freaking coolest dude ever. And he's also bald like me. I was bald as a child. No, I wasn't. I always was bald with stubble, even as a child. So anyway, I thought Hulk Hogan was really cool. They were kind of like, yeah, Hulk Hogan, he's not that cool. I'm like, no, I like Hulk Hogan and Ted DiBiase. And they're like, yeah, DiBiase, I don't know. I hate them. Everyone hated both Hulk Hogan and Ted DiBiase. And my two favorite wrestlers were Hulk Hogan and Ted DiBiase. Ted DiBiase, I thought, was like the coolest looking guy because he fought. He shoved that $100 bill down his opponent's throats when he won, and he came to the ring like wearing a tux, and he just looked really cool. And Hulk Hogan, just because he was just the coolest charismatic superhero guy. So, yeah, Hogan and DiBiase, those are my guys. And I had another friend that's like, oh, Hogan's in a tag team now. He's with Brutus Beefcake. And I was like, oh, that's cool, And so anyways, I kind of my experiences with WWF Hogan were just kind of through, what I heard from my friends. Then one day I decided to watch WCW just because I was getting more into baseball at the time. And I like to watch the Mets, and then the Braves were on TNT. So I used to watch the Mets and the Braves all the time because all my friends were getting into baseball. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'll check out baseball. And I actually really liked it. And then, I knew they had wrestling on TBS. And so I was like, I'm going to check out WCW wrestling. And that was the day that Hulk Hogan debuted with his ticker tape parade. And after that, I was just addicted to WCW. And so, long story short, in answer to your question, I think Hogan was awesome in both WCW and WWF. But I really like the WCW Hogan the best because that's really what I grew up with the most. And as a wrestling fan who really closely followed wrestling, Hogan was always my favorite. When Hogan went back to WWF, I was really excited, and I watched every week looking forward to Hulk coming out. I liked Mr. America. They really screwed up the NWO storyline, though. Turning Hogan face totally killed that angle. You could have had Hogan as a babyface heel. You could have done that. That you could have had him be a tweener. You could have had him had loyalties to the NWO, but still be kind of good deep down, Hey, True Sinister, how you doing? Who wakes up and says, Bruce Beefcake? Yep, that's perfect. Like DiBiase. Hello, everyone. Yeah, Sinister. This isn't third story. This is... Oh, hell yeah, I love TNA Hogan. That was my favorite show. The thing is, when I say I like TNA, the problem with that name is, people think you're, watching strippers. And I'm not here to, judge that. I'm just saying, I'm watching my Thursday night was Vampire Diaries and TNA Wrestling. And I would order Chinese food, and I would just, TNA Hogan was cool, man. He did more with just cupping his ear and working the crowd and getting a little juice, blading. And he didn't even need to do the blading. That was kind of a waste of blood, actually. But I thought Hogan and Sting's fight in TNA was way better than all this stuff that Dave Meltzer gives 5 stars to. And I like the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega right now. The wrestler that I like the most right now is Kenny Omega. I think he's cool. I like I like the fact that he likes anime, that he references Street Fighter and Final Fantasy VII. I like the fact that he's a big star in Japan. I like the fact that he looks like he fell out of an 80s action movie. He's got that kind of soft, nerdy side, but also he's a badass too, and I really like that, So Kenny Omega is my favorite wrestler, but Kenny Omega, and people have said this, when left to his own devices, he won't book himself properly, and I think that's what we're seeing. This is new generation, is what we're seeing. Out of my way. What is this difficulty set to here? Yeah, I religiously watched Hulk Hogan TNA. In fact, I was actually just watching a video today about Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett's rivalry, and a lot of that played out in Hogan era TNA, and I thought that was really good. I thought that time period, that was when Jeff Jarrett I became a Jeff Jarrett fan, because I was kind of the opinion that, Jeff Jarrett was like definitely mid-card material. I thought he in WCW he didn't feel like a heavyweight champion, Like I could just tell that they were like pushing him, but he wasn't he didn't have the rapport with he wasn't over enough, Like he wasn't he wasn't believable, and it just sounded like oh, here's a WWF mid-carder, let's give him the belt. Vampire Diaries and Chinese food sounds like a great. It was. I loved it, man. I'd watch Vampire Diaries, order Chinese food, and then I would watch TNA Wrestling right after Vampire Diaries. And that was my Thursday night. And I literally, if someone asked me to do something on Thursday, I'd say, kind of got my routine down for Thursday. I didn't want to miss my shows, Vampire Diaries was cool. I stopped watching it after they killed Alaric off, and I know he came back, but I don't know. I just after that, I kind of just popped in and out of it. But I liked Alaric because he was the history teacher, and I was studying to be a history professor. And plus, he had that cool immortality ring, which was it had a cool balance to his character, because it's he wasn't as strong as any of the monsters, but he was smarter than all of them, and the monsters couldn't kill him because he had that ring, So it was really cool. He could hold his own while being a regular person and a scholar, and kind of a tough guy too. So I really liked his character a lot. I thought he was cool. I liked Damon's kind of unrequited love for Elena. I thought that was cool. The good cop, bad cop between Damon and Stefan was cool. That was a really good show for a long time. But I thought Caroline was cool too. I liked the sexy cheerleader vampire. And I like the fact that the good vampires would have juicy juice blood bags. Kazoo Beater. Are you telling me that teachers exist outside of school? Yes, they do. I'm existing outside of school. I'm a teacher, and on Vampire Diaries they do as well. But yeah, once they kind of killed Alaric, they made that immortality ring a double-edged sword that made him go crazy. I was like, screw this crap, It's I don't know. They started messing with the stuff that I liked about the show. They had Damon kind of. They had I don't know, they had Damon and Stefan kind of relapse here and there, and I was just like, screw this crap, They killed off my favorite characters, and they're making the, I don't know, they're kind of screwing with it. They're screwing with the dynamic too much, And then I didn't see any of the originals. I don't know if that's any good or not. I liked the originals in the original series. I like the originals and the original Vampire Diaries when they were, really incredibly tough bad guys. You know what Vampire Diaries kind of reminded me of? It kind of reminded me of a cross between Highlander and Heroes, the show with Hayden Panettiere and the guy who played Rocky Jr., Milo Ventimiglia or whatever. That's what Vampire Diaries reminded me of. And the fact that it was before wrestling, and TNA Wrestling, that had the absolute best roster on the planet. It had Hulk Hogan, it had all the best guys from WCW, all the best original TNA guys, and then they had a good chunk of the kind of people that just got tired of being in WWE. So TNA was great. The reason the Hulk Hogan era TNA, which did pretty well, it would get consistently over 1 million viewers a week, which these current wrestling promotions would kill for. When Hogan debuted, they got over 2 million viewers a week. Anyway, the thing is they could get no momentum because it was the internet age, and the internet, and Dave Meltzer hated it. The WWF fans were gonna, crap on everything they did, and so even though you could watch and people could watch and say, oh, this is cool, there would be just this really vocal presence on the internet that just shit on it all the time, and it just always just kind of stagnated. And even though it stagnated at a stable place, it was still we got 1.5 million viewers a week, Old TNA felt much like WCW. Agreed. Absolutely. Did you like True Blood? My friend was crazy over. I never saw True Blood. I know nothing about Street Fighter. Vinegar Coffee. I have no Vinegar Coffee. Well, then you've come to the right place, because we're going to play. So, okay, so this is Street Fighter, okay? So Street Fighter 1 came out in 87. It was a very good-looking game for the time. And I still think it is a good-looking game. Just for today. I like the style of graphics they did. Charming game, very clunky gameplay, very, very hard special moves to do. But for the time period, there was like really very few fighting games. I mean, there was like Karate Champ that you saw in Bloodsport. That was pretty much it. Street Fighter at the time was like the best fighting game, but it was not that much of a groundbreaking game that everyone was like going crazy over it. In fact, the sequel to that game was going to be Final Fight. But then they decided, it's like, well, this has nothing to do with Street Fighter. It's just basically people fighting on a street. So they decided to call Final Fight Final Fight. So then they made a real sequel to Street Fighter with Ken and Ryu, the main characters of the original Street Fighter. And it was just very smooth gameplay. Every character had a personality. The music was great. It was fun to play. They had a bad guy that was based on the main villain from Doomed Megalopolis. It was just great, and everyone loved it. It revitalized the arcade scene. It was a cultural phenomenon all over the world. And they made 1 million versions of it that kept getting better. And in fact, with Street Fighter, there'd be no Mortal Kombat. That was horrendous. I got a lost perfect right there. Why are you winning? LOL at Gil running through you. Yes, no vinegar cookies. I'm sorry, I'm not looking enough at the screen here. Yeah, vinegar cookies. I'm not having that, and I'm not having vinegar coffee. I do have some coffee from earlier today sitting in the pot there. Man, what the freak, bro? Pyrokinesis. That was a pitiful showing. No, I'm not winning. I'm losing badly. So anyway, back to what I was saying. My survey of the history of Street Fighter. So Street Fighter 2 was wildly successful. They made an awesome movie about it in Japan, and they made a goofy movie about it with Jean-Claude Van Damme. But the cast of that movie was very hit and miss, and the soundtrack to that movie was phenomenal. MC Hammer and Deion Sanders' Straight to My Feet is like one of the best songs ever. And then Chage and Asuka, this Japanese kind of pop R&B group, did a really, really powerful, cool song called There's Something There that actually plays when you beat the Street Fighter movie, The Game, on Sega Saturn and Sony PlayStation. The music video for that's awesome as well. So anyway, Street Fighter 2 wildly successful. It followed up with Street Fighter Alpha or Street Fighter Zero, and that had 3 games. And that was a game looked like a beautiful anime, and it took place between Street Fighter 1 and Street Fighter 2. And then once that wrapped up, they went to Street Fighter 3. Actually, when it was wrapping up, when Street Fighter 3 came out, I think right around the time Alpha 3 came out. So there was a little bit of overlap there. But the sequel to Street Fighter 2 went in a really different direction, and they had a pretty much entirely new cast of characters and called it the New Generation. And the main character was no longer Ryu and Ken, but it was this young Hulk Hogan-style wrestler named Alex. They looked like a cross between Hulk Hogan, Dio, Terry Bogard, and Hager from Final Fight. So he's definitely cool as hell. Resurrection. Damn it. Fans did not gravitate toward this game as much as the others. Hardcore gamers, like really big fighting game fans, really like this game. If you liked Street Fighter, it's a good game, and it doesn't like crap on the legacy of the characters. It's not like the Star Wars sequels, which I haven't really seen, but I've heard how horrible Star Wars sequels were in terms of like how they treated Luke Skywalker and stuff. He's like drinking radioactive, milk out of an udder or something like that. It's like, that's what I'm talking about. I'm a gutless coward, by the way. Come on. Darn it. Jesus. Like Nas one-on-one. Ooh, I forgot that Nas was on that soundtrack. Street Fighter 2 was like a miraculous fluke anomaly. Theodore left. Oh, that was Theodore? Das Vidanya, Theodore. Theodore, I like Theodore. What was so stupid was that, he would make these, paper swords and shields, and then, hide them in my classroom, so when I was not in the classroom, when they had that horrible study hall that I was not even in. I'd just come back and my room would be trashed, and I'd have to like scream at the kids like the next day. Like I remember like I walked in one day and my room was like trashed. I took pictures of it and I just like went off on the kids for like a minute and a half, and you could have heard like a pin drop afterward. But you know, it's like that kind of thing. It's like, I mean, I can't be in the room all the time, you know. So I don't know. There we go. But anyway, Fyodor's a good kid. He's smart, man. That kid he's smart and he's funny. But, you know, he definitely has his annoying 13-year-old boy qualities as well. But, you know, whatever you want. Go home, Fyodor. Go to the office. Oh, no, Fyodor's back. We cleaned it up. Yes, you did. After I yelled at you. Yeah, a lot of times you guys did not clean up the room after I'd come back from from my teacher meeting, and it's like, wow, my room looks like a bomb went off in there. Probably one that you made out of paper, so. Yep, I was there. Noel selling secrets from the classroom. It's not a secret. Fyodor was making, like, swords and shields out of paper that were actually bizarrely well crafted. I mean, the fact that he was able to make stuff that actually looked like a sword. Like, I mean, we're not talking, like, regular swords. Like, this was, like, swords from the Highlander TV show, you know? Like, real swords made out of notebook paper. Ah! Kills me in a pain in the neck. We were the worst class ever. No, you weren't. You were not the worst class ever. I'm not going to tell you who the worst class ever was. I subbed for years before I had you guys. You were not the worst. I mean, there was definitely some stuff that went down. I mean, I'm not saying I would have pulled my hair out if I had hair, but, you know, being bald and shaving your head was a good preemptive measure for some days. But, you know, yeah, you guys, I mean, you clearly aren't bad kids. Sometimes, you know, behavior's not always on point, but you're not, like, malicious people. You're not like 50 Cent setting, you know, your baby mama's house on fire while she's inside of it. Am I right, True Sinister? That's what's... I want to hear Noel in the no get out now move. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Allie and Fyodor have seen it. This is me as a teacher, all right? Like, I'm very tolerant and patient, and then kids will think, like, oh, and I'm pretty funny, too. So people will be like, oh, he's tolerant and funny. I can goof off, and this guy won't care. Or it's like, oh, this guy's a pushover. And then, so it's like they mistake my kindness and patience for weakness. And then I have to yell at them and send them out. And, you know, it's like, and I'm not the kind of person that can just, like, start off as a hard ass. You know, it's like I have that side to me, but I'd rather just be nice and, you know, mentor people and teach people and, you know, perform for people. And, you know, I don't know, maybe I give people too many chances or whatever, but I don't know, like, I try to be a nice person, but then when, you know, push comes to shove, you just gotta crack the whip, and I don't know, it is what it is. And it's like, then the good kids are like, oh, you should have done that sooner, and it's like, I know, but I'm also trying to, like, give them a chance to fix things, you know, I don't know. Teaching is like, people don't understand if they don't do it. It's like you have a million things, you have like a million variables coming at you every second of the day, and you're constantly having to make decisions based on those variables. I took a criminal justice class, and the big thing, and the guy who taught it was an ex-cop, and he's like, the number one thing about being a cop is discretion. And like that runs through my head constantly when I'm a teacher. Like, how are you going to respond to different situations? He handled it, dab, Elijah. What? I loved it, testing nice people. Hang on a second. When Logan, hang on a second. But Noel, you're a father too. Yes, I am. I also do some boxing and Brazilian jiu-jitsu too. So, I mean, it was actually really funny because when kids would show up to the dojo, I could actually beat them up. Like, you signed a waiver, right? Okay. You're so funny. He handled it, dab, Elijah. I don't even know what that means. And welcome to the stream. But Noel, you're a father too. Don't forget the gas. Jealous, stupid motherfucker. All right, yeah, Rick Ross, Rose, the ogre child. He actually was referencing ogre from Tekken quite a bit, Allie. So he was calling himself ogre for a little bit. Um, Someone from our grade turned the computer with vomit on it. What? All right, I have no idea about that. Yeah, I remember with Mr. Chapin. Wait, what? Someone puked on a computer? I don't even know what that's about. We're all on Discord. I've never been on Discord. I don't even know what I know what Discord is. I know it's like some kind of a chat thing that, more. I know like Doctor Disrespect has a Discord, and I follow. I'm friends with a pretty big YouTuber named Guy Jillionaire who lives in Japan, and he was like saying that he was gonna start a Discord, but like I don't know. We just kind of message once in a while through Facebook Messenger. He's really cool. If you want to see some really good documentary videos, and just like someone from like, this is a guy who likes video games. Ah, damn it. Guy Jillionaire, check out his YouTube channel. He's really good. You should come. I'm not going to get in a chat room with my students. That's, if you guys want, like, this is a public thing. So if you guys want to like stop by the live streams or stuff, I don't care. But like, I can't be friends with my students, like in any kind of social media thing. It's a no-no. But if, once you're like 18 or whatever, and you want to be like an adult with your own life and, you're out of school, then, if you're not a-hole, we can be friends. But, yeah, I'm not going to hop on a chat room with a bunch of, 14-year-olds. But God bless all of you. Be good people. And I like you as people. I think you have a lot of talent and potential. And, that's good. Come on, man. Ah, son of a bitch. Ah, man. I'm like this close to just pivoting to Ken or Ryu. It's chill. He was a little nasty goblin. What? My worst days were when I would do my thing with my friends would tell me to do. Terrible. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, don't like that's a big problem with being a student. Is like it's really easy if you're just kind of passive. Like you might be like a good kid, but your friends are jerks, and you like your friends, and you're like, oh, I like my friends. I'm just gonna follow their lead, and it's like you don't even realize what a miserable piece of crap you're acting like. And I say that as someone who, when I was in elementary school, I was not that great of a student. Like my friends were like these kind of, troublemaking nerds, and I just kind of followed their lead, and like I wasn't like a bad kid, but I got sent to the office quite a bit. Not a lot, but I mean I'd be in the office like 3 times a month, at St. Mary's. And then I went to my Christian school, and I went to the office like early on there, and the principal was just like so cool, and not like trying to be cool, but he was just like, he's like, Noel, and there's my friend Jeff. We were just goofing off during chapel. He's like, look, I understand you guys are just. He didn't say it this way. He's like, but I understand that you guys are just being stupid 13-year-old boys, okay? So I'm not mad at you for that. Oh, I beat the game. All right. Are you going to hunt him down? I see it in your eyes, Alex. You don't need to avenge me. You don't understand. We fought. He was strong and I was not. That's all. Fine. Go if you feel you must. Chase him and see the world for yourself. Tom, please. You've said enough. It's over. Please sleep. I've said all I can. Your path is your own. I feel weak. I must rest. Oh, Daddy! I love the fact that Alex has that cool bomber jacket, and I love how they have that kind of painted New York City in the background. It really feels like, Christmas in New York, and Tom looking like Jean Reno is also cool as hell. So, anyway, this is what I was going to say. Yeah, I love the artwork in this game so much. I was talking about with International Channel 4 Life is like another good thing about comic books from the 90s that you don't get now with all these art school comic books is that like every panel was an illustration. Like every panel was, it wasn't supposed to look natural. Every panel was like a spectacle in and of itself, and that's what I really like. And that's what I like about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure also. Anyway, my principal, he's like, listen, because it's a Christian school, he's like, but the devil can make big things out of little things, And it's like, and I don't want to see that happen to you guys. And, I don't know, he was just like a very cool guy, and you could tell he was motivated for all the right reasons. And I just thought to myself, it's like, I have no desire to misbehave for this guy ever again. And I really don't have that much of a desire to misbehave, period, here. I mean, I goofed off with my friends here and there, but it was just a pretty positive atmosphere. Like, I would, like, turn around and chat with my friends, or we'd whisper back and forth, kind of stupid, goofy thing. But it was, I don't know, I felt like I became a much better person going there because it was a much more positive environment, and it was rooted in real values. It's like they wanted you to go to heaven and be a Christ-like person and, make the most of the life that you had, and so there was real purpose there and a real sense of community there, and it really helped me not just be some, jerk student. So I want all students just to be grounded in ethics and understand that, stupid little things have the potential to drag you down to worse things. And now we're going to play the sequel to this game. Don't remember getting a notification. He's a gamer. LOL, Noel, that bad boy. Noel, how long you been streaming? I didn't even get a notification. That's how are you guys not getting notifications? That's some BS, man. That was cheap how you did Gil. Yeah, well, he's cheap. It's kill or be killed, man. Some people won't ever interact with a form. Wait, what? I also don't remember getting. Wait, hang on a second. I was reading I'm scrolling back up through the messages. Some people won't interact with a former student as a principal, regardless of age. I mean, like, I'm like really good friends with a lot of my teachers from that Christian school I'm talking about. I stay in touch regularly with my high school principal. He's literally like my Mr. Feeney. Do you guys remember the episode of? Not a lot of you won't if you're like younger. Maybe you will, because Boy Meets World is it's still really popular. At least I insist that it's still popular. But there's an episode of Boy Meets World where Eric is in college and he's got that girl roommate, Rachel, and Mr. Feeney had retired from being a teacher, but he started being a college professor. And she's like, that professor, Mr. Feeney, he looks a lot like that guy whose picture you have next to your bed, because like Eric, like Mr. Feeney's this like mentor he's kind of comedically obsessed with. And that's kind of like me and Pastor Miller. Like, he's almost like this kind of superhero quality for me. Because Pastor Miller was like a real father figure to me. I didn't have a father growing up. I mean, I had my grandpa, but my grandpa was my grandpa. So, I mean, I always had these kind of like surrogate abstract father figures, like Hulk Hogan. Speaking of Hulk Hogan, Hugo Andore from Final Fight is in this game. And he is based on Andre the Giant. All right. Yeah, I don't know why you guys aren't getting notifications. I always hear that YouTube kind of Fs over people sometimes and not giving them notifications. Normally I do, of course, but this time I didn't. Cue sad music. I wish my life had a soundtrack. I mean, I was watching an episode of Matlock today, and Milton Berle was playing this comedian who was being framed for murder. And every time he would talk, they would play this like sappy, sad music, and I was like, this is unintentionally funny. And for me, like, when stuff is cheesy, I don't like look at it in a condescending way. I look at it as, I really enjoy the fact that this is so over the top and insane, and I like things being over the top and insane. So for me, it's not like a fail or like cringe or whatever. It's just good. Be crazy. That was like, so I mean, True Sinister can appreciate this. Like, I loved the Dungeon of Doom in WCW because it was just batshit insane. It had wrestlers teleporting all over the place. There was a mystical jungle that they would run through to get to it. Like, where are you going? It's like you're in the middle of like some like metropolis city, like some like okay, they're having like they're showing like Georgia or something, and then it's like someone would like run outside, run through a rainforest, then they'd be in a dungeon, and then like Hulk Hogan would like burst through the door or like the Kool-Aid Man. It'd be like he'd stick his hand in the fountain and scream. It's like, it's not hot. It's like this is like the best thing ever. So yeah, I wish my life had a soundtrack. Okay, so the Pillar Men from the second JoJo's Bizarre Adventure definitely influenced the design of Urian and Gil. Today at work was you see Rocky Balboa. I loved Rocky Balboa. Absolutely loved Rocky Balboa. Hey, Kevin! Zodcore's here. I didn't know you do live vids. Yes, I do. Hey, Zodcore, check out my new manga. I know that we actually met because we were both artists, and I think we both competed in some like fan art contest or something. Yeah, man. Hey, that's cool. Dude, yeah, Rogue Drums. I went to Doug's Fish Fry and the food was amazing. Pretty good taking orders. LOL. Shared on Discord. I saw Rocky Balboa. I'm just scrolling through the back comments. I think it's been a long time that your stream has had this many people. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, more the merrier. Apparently I just should play more Street Fighter. I try to like mix it up, but I think I'm just good at fighting games, so, you know, I think people would just rather see me play what I'm good at more often than just trying to be more obscure. I remember Rocky Balboa, they kept playing sad music and thought it was very funny. Hey, yo, Paulie, Adrian's dead now. We could be Akuma, but I really do want to be Ken for this. I also really want a Dr. Pepper. And I say that because Dr. Pepper's in the next room. Rocky Balboa, I really, really prefer the alternate ending on the DVD. Yeah, Ken is my dude. I like Alex. Alex is one of my favorite characters in the whole series. And I like being Alex in the Street Fighter 3 games because it's kind of like his story and he's like unique. But Ken is just... I love how Ken fights. I think Ken is a cool character. I love that he's like the cool, hyper-idealized American martial artist. You know, like the idea... Like, the American is like a cool, insanely rich guy who's got a heart of gold and is a good fighter. And there's also the stereotype of America and Japan as African-American boxer or cowboy. You know? Which are also awesome. This is this womb cancer. Yeah, that's really sad. I love Blue Gi Ryu, yes. Yeah, did you hear my name then? I was floating and not taking orders. Fridays are batshit crazy. I did not hear your name. Some girl gave me my order. She seemed very cool and nice. And I had not only my order of coleslaw, but my wife's order of coleslaw. So I was really happy about that. And you know what, Dakota? There's a chance that my family might actually be dining in Doug's. Not this Friday, but the Friday after when it's my turn to buy. Because Santino really wanted to go in the restaurant. He hadn't had his nap that day, so he was, like, really cranky. But he, like, I drove my family to Doug's, went to the drive-thru just really quick to get our food. And Santino, like, on the car ride, all of a sudden, he's like, I want to go in. I want to go in. I was like, nah, buddy, okay, look, we've got our food already. If he wasn't wearing pants, like he was wearing like a pull-up, like he wasn't like he was sitting in the driver's seat, not the driver's seat. Yeah, my toddler was driving my car. He was sitting in his car seat with a t-shirt and a pull-up on, and I was like, Santino, if you wanted to go in, we should have put pants on before we decided to leave. You know? So, but I said, next time it's my turn to buy dinner, if you want to go to Doug's, we'll go inside and go to Doug's. And he was okay with that. So we all had a nice fish dinner, and that was good. Oh, okay. On Fridays, if you dine in, then I will see you. That's cool. How's the family? Yeah, they're good, man. You know, I always enjoy your content on social media, bro. I don't do as much art as I used to, but I'm doing a bit because I'm launching a new site with some merch. Awesome, dude. Very, very cool. Very cool indeed. Yeah, you've definitely got some really nice artistic talent. You draw a lot of nice, intricate, inanimate objects too, which is, something that I'm much more into drawing faces. I like to draw form and add detail to things, but there's certain kinds of people. Like I remember, like you drew some like really detailed like handguns and things and like skateboards and stuff like that. Yeah, no, and like yeah, it's definitely yeah, got a lot of awesome stuff. And your characters have personality too, which is super good. Yeah. Hang on a second, I'm gonna pause this. People are talking here. Okay. Heard Maximilian Dude talk about how black people always pick Ken, being half black, having a fully black half brother. Hang on a second. And playing at various schoolrooms and stores that appears to be true. Yeah, I think Ken appeals to Americans who like Japan. I'm working this Friday, but I float. Okay. I'm sorry if I put my head in the way of the camera there, but the way that the screen was hitting the words, I couldn't see anything. So I decided to use my perfectly shaped bald head as a way to really block out the light between the camera and the TV, so I could see the words on the chat. This is close. That's gonna do it. I also heard your name. You read that wrong. Okay. Sorry about that. Ooh, bonus game. I'm not. I was. Here, let's see if I can do this. Okay. Oh, man. Well, I'm not as good as Daigo when he parried every one of Chun-Li's kicks. That is, like, literally the best, like, competitive gaming thing I've ever seen. The Daigo counter to Justin Wong's Chun-Li super move. And then, like, the nerds in the crowd are just, like, freaking out. It's like, just the best thing ever. I like Sean. I like Sean and Sakura because they've got that enthusiasm to them, but they're like really rough around the edges with their style. But they're also good. But they're not as good. But what they lack in technique, they make up in enthusiasm. Which kind of goes back to what we're talking about in comics. I think in the 90s, you had artists. Jim Lee is absolutely the best, and he has both technique and enthusiasm and originality. But when you look at someone like Frank Miller or Todd McFarlane or Rob Liefeld, their uniqueness and their style and their personality is like more important than the fact if you can draw everything, quote unquote kosher. That's not good. This, on the other hand, is good. And I'm sure Kevin can appreciate that as an artist. Yeah, dude, definitely send me a link to your web store. I definitely want to check it out. Ah, darn it. Get to see Santino for the first time. The teacher at Noel likes Sakura and Sean. It's true. What's Kevin saying? Do you ever get a perfect on that bonus before? No, I haven't. Noel needs one more at 800. I do. I need one more to get to 800. And then we can review Final Fantasy VIII. Every time I reach a new 100. I like to review a Final Fantasy. So for 700, I reviewed Final Fantasy 7. For 600, I reviewed Final Fantasy 6. And for 800, I will review Final Fantasy 8. I don't know. I never beat Final Fantasy 5. And I actually don't know if I reviewed Final Fantasy 4. If I did not review Final Fantasy 4, I gotta do that, because that's a good game. It's kind of hard to review RPGs, because I do my reviews in real time. Darn it. Got him. All right. I'm at 800s. I'm at 801. All right. Well, we got to do a Final Fantasy VIII review then. Before I had this stream, I looked. I was at 799. And it was weird. Like during quarantine, my subs actually went down quite a bit. It's weird. I'd upload a video, and then I'd gain a subscriber and lose 3. And I don't know, man. I don't know if I was just uploading too much. But at the same time, I heard YouTube does a thing where they will unsub people if the content creator uploads something and YouTube thinks that these people won't be interested. YouTube does some weird stuff. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's just people speculating baselessly, but I think I remember, I can't remember who it was, but I was watching a video, I can't remember if it was Yellow Flash. It was one of those commentary channels, and they were talking about how YouTube basically is kind of a feature will sometimes unsubscribe people. And I don't know, it seems like YouTube kind of goes out of their way to kind of not stack the deck maliciously, but kind of mildly stack the deck against smaller content creators, because their content is unpredictable, and YouTube is a gigantic corporation that wants to be in control of things on their platform. But the thing is, their platform is about is being able to make your own cable access channel, basically. Which, that's always what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be on cable access television, because it had that cool cheesy look to it. And I don't mean cheesy in a bad way. It's just the fact that stuff looks like it is clearly done on a VHS tape from the 80s. I love that look. I love the warm bleeding colors and soft fuzziness to things. I got a perfect back in 1999 on my Dreamcast. You did? You did the Daigo move? I remember when you were only at 152. Yeah, I remember, YouTube, my YouTube channel, I just kind of had, I didn't really do much with it. There was a period when I would do stuff kind of here and there on it, but it was never a priority for me. I was much more into MySpace and Facebook. And then, MySpace I couldn't use anymore because all my friends got off of it and my computer was too slow. And then Facebook just basically turned into, kind of a, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know how I'm going to put this here, but it's not that there's no merit to Facebook. And I definitely fell into this trap at times. But Facebook isn't always fun because people just go on political rants on it, and it serves no actual purpose. That's one thing you understand after you spend a couple of years on social media, is you're never going to change anyone's mind about anything on social media. You won't do it. Because people have other things that they can listen to, and you don't have that personal level of interaction where someone can really, see you as a person, and then through having that kind of relationship with you, see that, oh, maybe this guy's kind of got a point because he's a good person, and, or I see something in that face-to-face interaction, or even if you're just talking, you're so detached from people. And I mean, it's I know a lot of you guys only through social media, and I mean, I feel like we're good, we're really good acquaintances to friends, I like all you guys a lot. But that's really because we've got common interests, if you're on something and someone's got a different opinion from you, you're going to have to agree to disagree or just stop talking to each other, because you guys aren't going to change each other's minds. It's like, I remember my wife was talking the other day. She's like, someone was talking about politics on Instagram, and the first thing I said was, don't engage, because nothing's going to come of it. Like, I post a lot of satire articles from the Babylon Bee, which, you know, is just this like hilarious satire site that points out a lot of liberal hypocrisy, but it's more, it just points out the absurdities of American politics too. I mean, it points out Trump's absurdities as well. It's pretty honest about things. I mean, sometimes it can get too partisan toward the conservative side, but it's a really funny news site. Like a satire news site. I'd love to meet you and I would love to have a beer and sandwich with you. I have a lot of baseball hats. You got to make sure, like, I'm not wearing a baseball hat that will affiliate me with a gang. If I go to Compton. I watched this really stupid YouTube video one day. I don't know how I even got on it. I think I must have been watching a Tupac video or something, and it's like, these are baseball hats. They can get you shot if you go to Compton. Here, it's like literally every Major League Baseball team. They're all associated with gang codes. And I was like, okay. So I shouldn't wear a baseball hat if I go out that way? Because I love snapbacks. I mean, I like the strapbacks too, but I like snapbacks. I just something about them, where it's like, look at me, I'm a hat. I really like that. And I like the fact, that when you're bald, you get to just wear hats all the time. My grandpa was bald, and, like, he just always had cool hats on. And not, like, crazy. Like, he didn't wear, like, fedoras with feathers in them. I mean, he might have once in a while, but like, he just had cool baseball caps a lot of the time. And they were, like, that kind of 80s snapback style, so... But yeah, dude, I'd be down for, I don't know how and where and when, but I'm not opposed to going out that way. And if you're ever out this way on the east side, definitely swing by. I got kicked out of a hip hop message board for supporting Trump. That is so stupid. That is so fucking. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to swear. I can't stand that. Like the mob mentality of things. Like, okay, so I was a liberal Catholic that went to a conservative Baptist high school, and those people didn't care. I mean, I was a social democratic Marxist who went to a conservative Baptist Bible study religiously. They didn't bat an eye. They didn't care. We were all cool. We all found common ground. We all loved each other, And I feel like, and it's sad, it's like liberals have become more intolerant and hysterical in a lot of cases than conservatives were at the height of their anti-Obama hysteria, when you had, like, crazy late-night televangelists calling him the Antichrist or something. Like nobody believed that outside of a small margin of goofy people, and even those goofy people weren't usually mean-spirited, I mean, yeah, like, every once in a while, like, you can come across someone who's intolerant, but, like, you can deal with them as a person, But it seems like now it's like, get away from me, educate yourself. It's like, what is your problem, It's like people just throw these just, I don't know, they think that they can fight. They think that it's like, you know what's a good way to beat what I don't like? Being worse than what I don't like. It's just, it makes no sense. Especially online, like, man, it's just, either avoid politics or learn how to agree to disagree, because, yeah, it's some nuts stuff, man. Like, I don't love or hate the president. I'm as close, I don't know if I'm gonna, but I'm as close to voting for him as I ever have been. But I understand why people don't like him. But I'm understanding increasingly why he's almost certainly gonna win. But you don't count your chickens before they're hatched. I don't know, man. But I'm definitely not. Personally, I mean, like, if you want to vote Democrat, that's fine, but I'm not, and I'm not going to get into the whole laundry list of reasons why, but just no. But yeah, I don't know. You know what's hilarious though is, like, the political ads are the most insane I've ever seen them. They're like parodies of political ads. They're so over the top and crazy. Like, the political ads are getting, like, the most unflattering, hysterically funny pictures of people, at least in upstate New York. But Noel, I wasn't even talking about Trump or arguing. It doesn't matter. I had the ball. Everyone enjoy the rest of the night. I live in Miami. Nice. Oh, that's cool. I had a ball. That's awesome, man. Well, you have fun in Miami. Go drink a cold beverage and watch some Miami Vice, okay? And thank you for stopping by. Stay in touch. Share your store with me and stay in touch. You don't count your chickens before they hatch. It's true. Don't do it. I'm telling, why, because I swore. F you, man. I'm just kidding. One of my friends I consider to be my brother ran into me and was done with jury duty. Wait, hang on a second. I'm trying to read what you're saying here. And he looked at me like I was crazy. What? Yeah, so I don't know, man. Awesome. Yeah, Kevin, take care of yourself, brother. Yeah, dude, I don't know, just whatever, man. Like, I don't know. Okay, so I went to a school that was 99% Republican, and I wasn't. I'm a registered Democrat. But my politics are, like, they don't fit in with anyone, like, at all. Like, I think the two-party system in this country is not for me, and I'm economically I'm economically socialistic and, you know, kind of socially conservative. But the only way things are going to work socialistically is if people have mastered the good parts of capitalism, like work ethic, innovation, and responsibility, and really root a lot of stuff in those things. Like this, you know, having a mentality of dependency and, you know, lack of innovation or responsibility, that or people being afraid to speak up and give honest criticism of things. I don't care, you know, how socialist you call how democratic you call your government, it's doomed to fail because you've already undermined, you've already undermined really good aspects about human nature. You know, discipline, the desire to grow and innovate and that kind of thing. Jury duty is not that bad. If you ever did it, I actually want to do jury duty. I don't want. Take that back. I watch a lot of lawyer shows, like not real lawyer shows, like Perry Mason and Matlock. I don't watch these shows where it's like they try to, you know, shock you with, like, you know, horror crimes, like, you know, Law and Order SVU. Like, this person was sodomized with a broom, and it's like, get the like, dude, I used to watch Curb Your Enthusiasm when it was on Fox, like, late at night. It was, like, syndicated for a brief period. They had, like, Curb Your Enthusiasm and Entourage. And I had, this is when I lived by myself, I had a barber chair in my living room. It was my grandpa's barber chair. I'd sit in it, and I would fall asleep in it watching Curb Your Enthusiasm and Entourage. And then, because it's a barber chair, you can't sleep in it all night because it'll wake you up because it's not meant to be slept in. It was like a really cool recliner. Anyway, I'd wake up hearing the most absurd, stupid, bizarre, and disgusting things that were always unintentionally funny on Law and Order Special Victims Unit. It was like a parody of what people joke about in 5th grade locker rooms, but being played really, really seriously. You know, and it's like are you paying attention to this? Because this is really special and important. It's like, what am I even listening? Like, I remember there was one where it was like there was a quarterback to a football team, but it was really a man trapped in a woman's body, trapped in a. I was just like, what am I just would like get up and go to bed and just like get this away from me. So anyway, I don't watch that kind of lawyer show. I watch like Matlock, where, like, you know, the common man finds justice, you know, that kind of thing. So that part of, because I watch those things, and I watch things like Judge Mathis and Judge Judy and People's Court and like the fake court shows like Judge Christina Perez, where, you know, they have the people in the audience are actors, and then sometimes they play the plaintiffs and defendants as well, you know? So because of that, I'm kind of enthusiastic about doing jury duty, but at the same time, I just have too much going on and don't want to do it. There's my long-winded answer to that question. But I almost did it one time, but I actually thought I was going to go to Italy for the summer. So I actually told the person, like, I wasn't trying to get out of it. I'm like, I'm going to Italy in a month or so I actually can't do this. And they're like, oh, well, we'll call you for the next one. I'm like, okay. And they never did. I wouldn't want to be on like a trial for a murder just because, I mean, I don't know, man. That's some heavy stuff. Like, if you get that wrong. I mean, if like someone's like clearly guilty though, but like my wife watches a lot of Dateline, and like there's some people that you can absolutely tell are 1,000% guilty, and then there's other ones that are like, yeah, I don't know. And if you ever got that I don't know wrong, like if I had like reasonable doubt, I legit would not convict. There's this one lady from Syracuse though. I think she like killed 2 husbands and then tried to kill her daughter with antifreeze. She was 1,000,000,000% guilty, and I don't think she got a long enough sentence. But judge not, lest ye be judged. My dad is like only right-wing conservative I know, but I hate hearing him rant. I also think Trump says really stupid things. Yeah, he does. I think Kanye West is unstable. I think everything is unstable. I think that Kanye's a smart dude. He thinks outside the box. I mean, I think it would be interesting. You might be right that he's not 100% stable. He might crack under the pressure. Trump is, like, he doesn't crack under the pressure. He acts immature. But that dude has had, like, everything thrown at him, and he just doesn't give a crap, you know? And I'm not saying that's necessary. I don't know. Like, he's immature. That's Trump's problem is he's immature and excessively antagonized by people who can't stand that he won because they think that they're better than him. Like, Trump has no respect for the whole political game or the craft of political gamesmanship or, you know, spending your life clawing your way up, you know, to the top of, you know, from some poli-sci program and, you know, being a sycophant in Washington, D.C. and, you know, earning power and all. Trump's just a dude that got a lot of money doing real estate and, you know, knows how to appeal to a broad, you know, to the common man, good, bad, and ugly. And he just doesn't give a crap, and he'll troll you if if you like him, he likes you. If you don't like him, he'll try to be a bully to you, and he should be bigger than that. But that's what he is. I mean, he's not, in my opinion, a neo-Confederate Russian spy with Nazi leanings. You know, who's exceptionally evil or bad. People, the left don't even believe in evil. They think they're beyond good and evil, but. He's just he's a goofy oligarch who he's got some appealing macho tendencies, and you know his opponents are so insanely incompetent that he is somehow, despite being a cartoon character from a 1980s movie, his kids seem to like him, you know, and his wife stands by him. I mean, all 3 of them, I guess. You know, but anyway, we've basically taken a stock goofy character. We've taken Biff from Back to the Future as a billionaire, and he is, I think, legitimately more credible than his opponents, which is saying something completely insane about his opponents. That I don't know, man. Like I have become more sympathetic toward him as his administration has gone on, and it's more because his opponents have proposed no real solutions other than just theatrical hysterics, manipulation, and trying to work the system rather than change themselves and provide real alternatives to stuff that they don't like, you know? And we're to the point now where like cities are literally burning and they're pretending it's not happening. Like, I 1,000% thought that CNN headline of the guy standing in front of the wall of flames saying mostly peaceful today. Like, I legitimately thought that was the Babylon Bee, and it wasn't. And then Babylon Bee did an article with that dog in the burning room saying this is fine, but just put that they swapped the spots. And it's essentially become, remember that not Police Academy, Naked Gun, where Leslie Nielsen was standing in front of the exploding White House and saying, nothing to see here. Like, this is literally what we have now. It's completely insane. And all you can do is study philosophy and Christian ethics or things that resemble Christian ethics if you're secular or of another religion, you know, treat other people the way you want to be treated, have perspective. Understand that your will is not the highest thing, that there is a higher power, there is a higher transcendent truth that, people can find, through whatever their methods are, even though I think Christianity is the best way to do it personally, but I'm not going to hold it against you if you're, not a Christian. My wife's not religious. But, and study philosophy, study history, and if stuff doesn't add up, call bullshit and just think for yourself, and then get the headlines and split, because news is not designed to inform you. I know a lot of people that want to educate themselves and make themselves better, and they're not stupid people by any means, but they watch the news and then they start getting brainwashed, and it's like, it's not, it's not like it's not that they're like lesser than or anything like that, but they just keep hearing the same hysterical, propagandistic, distorted BS day in, day out. Like Good Morning America, it's like Trump bashing and then like nature disaster porn. Like that's all it is. It's like hurricanes, racial violence, Trump's horrible, everything is his fault. And they say it either overtly or covertly, and then they show hurricanes, and then they like try to pump the brakes. It's like, here's this goofy diet fad, and and it's like, I like that's the media. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Christians rule. CNN, worst news network ever. Hang on, I gotta pause this. I gotta see what people are saying here. All right. Noel, what do you think about China? Last night in a wrestling stream, a YouTuber was saying China is a huge untapped market. I was also an American. What business? I mean, honestly, like China's big thing, as far as I'm concerned, is they want stability. They want stability. They want prosperity, and that's what they want. The Communist Party in China now has bought into the traditional dynastic formula of stability. We're in charge. It's a reciprocal relationship where we're not going to be insanely corrupt, and you're going to be obedient, and we're all going to help each other out. And if you screw with that, you're in trouble. Like, that's what I understand China as. And all I can say about China is just be benevolent and follow your own rules, okay? Because, the Cultural Revolution, I think Mao, as a revolutionary leader, did a lot of good and won a lot of hearts and minds legitimately, and people were really loyal to him and still see the good in him. But as a head of state, he presided over some of the worst humanitarian disasters, whether it was through incompetence or corruption, or whatever. I don't know. He either was out of touch, didn't care, dabbled in Stalinism and Jacobinism, but the lack of stability in China in terms of things like famine and just society becoming unglued and pathological. In terms of people like, accusing themselves of things and there being no stability. That was terrible. And no one in China thinks that aspect of Mao was good. But I think there are a lot of people that see in China that see the Communist Party as like, they'd give them a grade of a 70%. It's like they messed up a lot, and there's a lot of political stuff that, is kind of systemic corruption that you roll your eyes at. But at the same time, they don't want to go down the path of what happened to Soviet Union, where it was like, a lot of Eastern European countries, they hit rock, they went back to the third world, and now they're just climbing out of it now, and take a look at China now. They're like almost the biggest economy in the world. So I don't think it's necessarily America's place to wag their finger at anyone. But all I can say as far as the Chinese government goes is just live up to your own standards. And I think, definitely a lot of good that the Chinese government has done, but there's also a lot of bad that the Chinese government has done. And that's all you can do. It's like, I had a Chinese history professor. He was one of the most amazing people because his parents and grandparents, saw the good in Mao Zedong, but he lived through the Cultural Revolution, and a lot of his friends were involved in Tiananmen Square, and he just could absolutely see both sides to everything, and just that was what it was, and he wasn't gonna like trash China, but he wasn't gonna praise it either. He just was. He goes back to China all the time, and he's really good at communicating the Chinese perspective on things. Is like, I'm a Chinese citizen. This is what we tend to think, but at the same time, was like, this was really bad. These aspects were really bad. So yeah. That's what I think about China. China's way worse human rights and civil rights issues than we do. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that they don't. There's, I don't know. I think I don't live in China. I'm an outsider. I think that people in China a lot of the time are also willing to make sacrifices for the higher good, and they see the higher good as the prosperity of their society or their own meager economic opportunities. But at the same time, I think people are also definitely taken advantage of, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I honestly think that giving the Chinese government a grade of a 70 is fairly accurate. Like that's what they kind of gave Mao as a grade. I think the government probably deserves that grade too. You know, barely passing in terms of. I don't hate anyone, and I don't want any whole people is bad, but I wouldn't want to move there. Yeah, no, that's understandable because we have a different way of life, different traditions. You know, I just want the Chinese government to live up to their own standards. And I want America to live up to their own standards too, because I mean, that's the big thing that people in America should do is like, rather than pointing at the Soviet Union or pointing at China or pointing at some Middle Eastern country, like, get your own shit together. I mean, I get people who say LeBron James is a hypocrite when he, like, kind of, like, ignores or sticks up for the Chinese government and then, will just he lives an incredibly privileged life here and then acts like the stuff that like our government is like terrible and horrible. I think LeBron James is vain and out of touch and likes to make a spectacle of himself. But I'm not saying that, wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt or anything like that is bad, or sticking up for the Black Lives Matter movement. I think that that's all fine, but you got to have some perspective, dude. Like you're living an incredibly privileged life and you have incredible amounts of free speech and people live very well in this country. Even a lot of poor people have flat screen TVs, so I like to binge watch your old live streams. Thank you, dude. You're a fan, brother. Thank you so much. The labor laws in China are super ironic because they're literally the strongest geopolitical communist country. They're the last man standing, really, in terms of viable communist countries. And their labor laws they're not great, but I think they view it as, okay, well, we're going to have to, do some shitty stuff in order to get stronger. And then once we're stronger, we can improve things. And that's kind of working. But live up to your own standards, dude. If you're a proletarian state, you got to take care of your workers, Okay, so I do think that Donald Trump is reverse Lex Luthor. Yeah, he's got like too much hair. That's the problem. Akira has their own game fighting. Arika has their own EX Slayer. Is EX Slayer out? Street Fighter EX is dead. I've got Street Fighter EX. We can play that if you want. I still live with my mom, and she watches all the shows you've listed. Hell yeah, brother. Matlock? I swear again. I love Matlock. I mean, that Matlock and Columbo, dude, like, all those shows about, like, he's like the common down-to-earth man that, like, there's all these elitist bastards that think that they're, like, above it all. And then, like, the common man is, like, he's, like, a genius, but he's got no pretension. And, like, and he just completely, like, deconstructs things with his super brain. I love shows like that. That's the real proletarian stuff right there. I mean, honestly, like, 1980s style American culture, the conservatives have done a really good job of getting the proletarian aesthetic while being ideologically capitalist. Like, if you watch 80s sitcoms and, like, all this American dream stuff, that's what the socialist countries promise. And what America does is say, oh, look, we can deliver that too. I have a DVD full of Estonian commercials, and it's all, like, if you take a look at it, it's, like, all romanticizing American pop culture. And a lot of it is because if you go back and you study the Russian Empire, back from, like, Peter the Great, it's like, they're like, well, we can do what the West does. We can have these high cultural standards, and then, once you get to, like, Leninism and, communism and things like that, it's like, when it starts to become more proletarian, you look at, like, a place like Gary, Indiana, or these places that industrialized from nothing. And, it's like, in a lot of ways, America has achieved what the socialist dream is, but it's ideologically capitalist, which is interesting, but it has a lot of socialistic elements to it because, full-blown capitalism or full-blown socialism, if you look at if you look at it in terms of like you shouldn't have any private ownership of things. Like you can't do that. The government can't own everything, and at the same time, the government can't have it's total detachment from society either. Like every place has some degree of a mixture of things, and that's actually what Marx said. Like the whole thing is like there's got to be a dialectic. There's got to be a complementary synthesis of opposites, and that's what you're going to get your new stage of history from. Okay, trying to copy Japan's economic model. No one cares. Kind of, yeah. I mean, Japan's economic model is. They had so much money in the 80s. Where can I get EX Layer? Is it download? I just got a huge cut in hours unrelated to the time I've had to take off. That sucks. By the way, my parents are together alone in Yosemite. It's just me and my dog, and it's kind of an overall disaster. My parents are in no shape to walk like that. They aren't good with GPS. I don't know. I have a horrible sense of direction. I think I'd get along well with your mom. We both have no sense of direction, and we both like Matlock. And cool, man. All right, let's beat Gil. And then after this, I'm going to get a cold Dr. Pepper. Gil is Illuminati confirmed. True Sinister, I heard that 50 Cent tried to sue Rick Ross over In the Club. Did Rick Ross do an In the Club remix? Or is he just trying to do an In the Club remix? Come on, come on, come on, come on! Would it be possible for you to post a link to your manga on the video you uploaded a while ago? I don't know. My manga, did you read the manga? It's on the channel. If you just go to my channel, and you go to the Noel's ComiX playlist on the main page, it's the top one there. And also if you go to my videos, it's the second thing I've uploaded. So I uploaded today a Super Mario All Night Nippon review, and then the manga. And I actually got a program where I could just tape what's on my phone. So I just read through the whole manga. I actually think I'm going to do that with that old Dragon Ball AF comic, because it's got so much text in it that there's no way you can actually read it. So, I mean, that's an old comic. That's like, I consider that in a lot of ways the first real manga I ever did. And I mean, it's nothing that spectacular, but I put a lot of work into that. I colored that thing painstakingly and really tried to combine Dragon Ball AF with Boy Meets World. So that was a real labor of love, man. I just made that because I wanted to make a Dragon Ball AF comic, and I spent the whole summer of 2009 doing it. And I watched a lot of Jim Lee videos where Jim Lee said, "You know what? You want to be good at comics? Just you sit in your room and you effing draw like it's a job, you know?" And it's like, yep. And I want to do that. I love doing this, and I wanted to make a fan comic about Dragon Ball, and I did. So I think I'm actually going to narrate that as well, and you can just kind of take it or leave it. But, I mean, it's definitely, I think this newest one that I've done is my best work that I've ever done as far as comic books go. And I definitely want to keep it up. I want to make another, I just have really had a lot of fun doing a routine over quarantine of doing a page or two of comics a day, going to the gym and doing some boxing, coming back and playing with my son, and then, winding down with some YouTube and some video games or some, old anime or an old, like a TV show from the 80s or something like that, And it's, you kind of feel like you just checked off all these nice boxes of leisure and productivity, it's very nice. I don't know. I mean, it's going back to work is going to be a thing because we've all been so happy at home. We've all stayed healthy, and so for us, we've been able to work from home, and then just me being a teacher, just chill at home with my son. He's been going to daycare part time, so it's like he goes 2 days a week to still be socially integrated with his little buddies, and but at the same time, it's just we just hang out and watch Peppa Pig and random. Fighting game stuff all day. He's also really gotten into the X-Men cartoon from the 90s. He is his father's son. A few weeks ago, I heard about Dr. Pepper shortages on the news. I bought them all. I'm sure a link would allow for a lot more clarity. What? Okay. I've been working since July. I'm trying to conserve my money for a biweekly paycheck. Wait, for more clarity, do you mean it's a bit blurry in 360p? Ross did a mixtape freestyle over it. I gotta check that out on YouTube. Okay, so Arrow, here's the deal. All right, so the paper that I did my manga on was too big for any scanner that I had. And I tried to go to Walmart and see if they could, print stuff for me. There's no Staples in Cortland anymore. I have a friend who does comic books in Cortland that used to be at a place called Carbon Copies. I literally did a little a cartooning gig with him on Saturday, and I said, "Hey, Jim, can you do me a favor and can I go to your place and I'll do the fee to get some prints done to scan my comic?" Because he had a big photocopier, and he's like, "I'm not there anymore, and they don't do that anymore." It's like, what? Like, no one has photocopiers anymore. So what I ended up having to do, because the deadline was getting like dangerously close, and I had put so much work into this thing, I just basically put painter's tape on my wall and then mounted the pictures, and then basically set my phone up like it is now on a stand and set a timer. But it was, I don't know, man. Like I knew that the visual clarity was going to take a hit, and I just hoped that I had to get it in there, which is what she said. No, I'm just kidding. But I put so much work into that I didn't want to miss the deadline. And the thing is, like, you had to get it in by Japanese time. And I thought that I was a day, like, I thought that 11 o'clock on the 31st was going to be September 1st in Japan. So I was just going nuts trying to get things done and submitted. Because I was, like, just doing everything through my phone. Because that's, like, all I had in terms of a really good quality piece of electronics. So yeah, I don't know that I don't know, man. I know it might be kind of amateurish, but I mean, I tried to do really good, quality cartooning, but I just didn't have a very high quality professional way to get the stuff scanned, and I did it analog because that's what I know. I work with highlighters, pens, and Sharpies, and that's what I do for my style. And if you actually like take a look at it, it's kind of hard to see sometimes. But I would just go in the back, and I just love drawing people so much, like cartoon people. Like I would just draw like anything that I liked in the background, just like, okay, here's Matlock in the crowd, here's Columbo in the crowd. Of course you kind of alter it a little for copyright, but like, I don't know. And that's the thing. Like, so rather than like Kevin, who was here, like, he's one of those people that like draws a lot of details on inanimate objects. Like, I'll spend time adding details on inanimate objects, but I really like doing is I just like, okay, like here's funny things in the background that I find interesting. And I think I got that from playing so much Street Fighter, because like if you play Street Fighter 2, like there's just all these people in the background that add personality to the picture. All right, super move. See if we can do it here. What? Oh, you bitch. Ah, damn it. Just the link that you used while recording the video off your phone would be enough. Walmart apparently has its own Dr. Pepper equivalent called Dr. Thunder. Man, if I was a wrestler, I would, I'd want to be like a stressed out academic. And like, if I wanted to do the college professor thing, I think I'd call myself Dr. Thunder. I think that would be a good pro wrestler name for like a stressed out college professor. I'm Dr. Thunder, and I've had it up to here with you idiots. Like that, like I don't want to like I think like not like Lanny Poffo, you know, or like the franchise, you know, where they're like trying to like condescend to the crowd. Like, I don't want to be that kind of like intellectual character. Like, oh, he thinks he's so much better than us, you know. It's like, no, it's not that. It's like, this is a guy who's just stressed out and tired of your bullshit, you know. Like, that kind of character, someone who just, you know, that he's just sick of people booing him. He works way too hard to deal with this shit, you know, and you people have just driven him over the edge, and he's gonna give it to you because you're assholes. And like that's the kind of wrestling character that I would like to play. Just a stressed out teacher academic who is, you know, gone to like conditioning himself to being a fighting machine and just going off on like nervous breakdown rants on the audience that are just really, really funny. You know, like that. I think that character in wrestling would be really fun. There's no characters in wrestling either. This is all Dave Meltzer's fault. It's all Dave Meltzer's fault. He raised a generation of people to be like, to just do flips and pretend it's real, but no, it's not real. You know, it's just like... Let's see if we can interrupt this here. Oh, come on! Dude, look at that! There we go. WWE loves turning certain kinds of people heel. Matt Stryker, Dean Douglas, or Damian Shadow. Yeah, I hear you. I loved Matt Stryker. He's funny as hell. I think the link you used while recording off the video would be enough. I don't know, man. Like, there's some things I'm tech savvy about, and then other things I don't know, you know? Like, I want to put my best foot forward, but sometimes I feel like I just don't know. I don't always have all the tools of the trade and don't even know what they are, you know? And I'm so bad at multitasking, I can't even really completely understand. Like, are you saying, like, trying to link something through the video? Ryu's got the same color gi as my high school yearbook when I was a senior. This girl insisted we have freaking, like, olive avocado green as our color. Because, you know, I don't know. At my school, everyone thought it was like, oh, you know, like, everything has to look like, you know, what a depressed skateboarder wants it to look like. Like, I don't know. Thanks a lot, Fred Durst. Ah, Ryu! Noel, did you watch Hulk Hogan and Suburban Commando? Yes. No, just copy the link that has your manga. Ah! Undertaker was in Suburban... Yes, I know that. No, copy your manga link that has your manga from the browser and paste the description of the video. I'll look into it. I promise. Drumming would not be the best fit for you. How did you get bodied by Ryu after beating Gil? Yeah, that happens, man. Because Ryu, as my son would say, is the final boss. In his, like, synthesis of Peppa Pig and Street Fighter, he is, like, Dark Mr. Potato. Like, evil Ryu crossed with Mr. Potato. The final boss. Dark Mr. Potato. Ah! Thought I could beat him to it. Will you take a look at the attention to detail? Capcom literally has these, like, gi pants with a mind of their own. pretty ladies in the hot springs waving at us. See, stuff like this is what inspires me to do backgrounds in my manga. Ah, damn it. Jumped right into that. Have any of you guys seen the live-action Street Fighter movie Assassin's Fist? That is really good stuff. I really, really like that. That, as much as I love Jean-Claude Van Damme and, like, aspects of the live-action Street Fighter movie, which, again, if you haven't seen MC Hammer do Straight to My Feet, it's really, really good. Oh, man, you can't block that? Damn, I didn't know you couldn't block the Denjin Hadouken. Our comments appear in different order in our chat than on your screen. Huh, that's weird. Man, once I get Ryu, I am so drinking a Dr. Pepper. Like the sumo wrestler getting his back washed in the background. I'm cornered. Damn it. Ah, come on! I was sure that that was going to hit before he launched that. Being left-handed, I've said this before, I hate being on the side of the screen. And it's always hard for me to throw Hadoukens from the right side of the screen. Damn it! I tried to soup him before he could do it. I saw The Legend of Chun-Li. I have not seen The Legend of Chun-Li. That doesn't look good. Is it good? These fights are more about pokes and footsies than specials or supers. It's true, man. He's being a biatch, man. Like, it's hard to, like, I'm just trying to, like, get some damage in there, try to get a rhythm going. Okay, sorry if I'm not talking a lot. I'm just trying to focus on not losing. No! Damn it! Like, when you're cornered like that, there's, like, not a lot you can do, man. You just gotta try to go for the jabs and try to get some space. Like, I'd almost rather work from this corner here. Oof. Damn it! I was going for my super move, too. Neil McNaugh, Kristen Crew, Michael Clark Duncan. Watch it for a laugh. Okay. Isn't that like Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas Vega? Like, that is the worst casting I've ever seen. Like, I don't know, man. And the fact that they have not gotten Billy Blanks to play DJ in a Street Fighter movie is maddening to me. I really do not want this to descend into boss rage here. I so should have set this to 1 round. Ah, damn it! Got him. For 1 round. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton were also left-handed. Alright. So I'm gonna, at some point, make a lot of money. You know who else is left-handed? Ned Flanders. My best friend is now texting me like 3 days after the fact. If you're hearing like stuff go off on my phone, it's because he's like, I remember like 4 days ago he texted him like, hey, what's a good price for a desktop? And it's like now he's getting back to me. Please finish him off. There, finally. Kurt Cobain was 2 and Jimi Hendrix. Ah, well done. I love this ending. Mainly because Santino has done this to me, too. Like, he literally did this just because he really liked to play box. And he just, like, straight up punched me in the balls one day. Didn't even realize that what he did was wrong. And I was just like, oh my gosh. I am absolutely living the ending to Ken in Street Fighter 3. He even kind of looks like Santino, too. Mel is so cute. Mel, you win. That's absolutely like one of the best endings in any fighting game. Oh, this has got such pretty credits. Yes, Dr. Pepper time for me. God, this game has such a pretty soundtrack, too. So speaking of game soundtracks, I actually ordered a copy of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I have a legit Dreamcast copy of it, but I found a repro on Etsy that replaced the music with Michael Jackson music. So I'm super psyched about that, because my son is like dying to play as Abyss. Like, every day, he asks me, can we play as Abyss? Do you know how to play as Abyss? Can you get the Mugen? Can we play as Abyss? Is there a way to get Mugen on a console? Can we play as Abyss? And I'm like, you know, so I went on Etsy and I just, like, looked for fan hacks of, like, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And we both really like Michael Jackson. And so once we saw that there was a synthesis of Michael Jackson and Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I had to order it. It was only $15. I mean, it's a repro, so I don't know. I remember this ending. Yeah, it's great. You know, I hate to be this guy, but actually, no, I don't. They really don't make him like this anymore, you know? Like, just, I mean, you can just see, this game is just oozing with quality and, you know, passion and just kind of just attention to detail and charisma and expressiveness. And this game, it had like kind of this like hip hop new wave jazz synthesis to it, synth pop. Yeah, it was great, man. It had a soundtrack that was both somehow mellow and energetic. Really good stuff, and it really complemented the artwork well too, because it had that kind of quality of a painting, but with the energy of like a manga comic, like a cross between like you know, like a manga and an American comic book. It was just fantastic. Such high quality. Such good stuff. No, Capcom, thank you for making this game. Imagine a game with, instead of one extremely overpowered character, they had many. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I also love that Capcom boot up screen. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was also made on the CPS3 hardware. Imagine, you just described SVC Chaos. I am bringing Santino up very well. I'm running pretty low on Dr. Pepper. I mean, I have a decent amount left here, but I gotta get some. We're not going to PNC. First of all, PNC is closed, and it's 12:09, so there's like nothing open around here. So. Ah, life in luxury. All right. Speaking of SVC Chaos, have you used any of your high-powered hip-hop connections to get me a copy of SVC Chaos on the Neo Geo? I mean, like, the guy that you know who knows the guy who knows Rick Ross has to have, like, Neo Geo AES money. This is my Dr. Pepper. Make this happen, man. Oh my god, that's so good. That is just fantastic stuff here. Man, it doesn't look like my PSP is charging that well. I think I'm going to have to get a new battery. Because, like, there's no... Like, this should be green by now. Like, the power light is orange. It's been orange for... We've been streaming here for 2 hours. And the charge light on my PSP, the battery was at 0 when I plugged it in. And it's not charged, so that's not good. Alright. Well, now that we've got our Dr. Pepper, I think it's time to play the third of the third. So what's it going to be? It's the third of the third. It's Street Fighter 3. That game has got some really good music in it. They were able to do a whole rap song about a character select screen, and it is some hot fire. I have a Dr. Pepper all day at Doug's and water today, but good stuff. Yes, be careful when buying PSP batteries. There's a lot of fake ones. Fantastic. Really wish I bought one of those extended PSP batteries when they were still available. Can I just leave my PSP plugged in? Like, I just want to... I'm basically just using it as a console, you know? I mean, it is nice to have handhelds if I want to, like, be in the same room with my wife and, like, I want to, like, be on the couch with her, but she's watching one of those, like, god-awful true crime shows or, you know, like, Hamilton or for the millionth time. Like, there's some okay stuff in Hamilton, but, like, she's been playing it a lot, and I'm just kind of like... There's like 2 good songs in this thing, in my opinion. And the rest of it is just kind of, you know, look at me, look at me. You know, it's just like, shut up. Shut up. All right. Anyway. Let's play some Third Strike. I do like the cabinet battle in Hamilton. That's cool. And I know Ja Rule and Ashanti are on the Hamilton mixtape, and I do like me some Ja Rule. Guess who's Bazak? This is literally one of the best openings of any video game ever. Oh, man. Dude, alright, so... listen. You are going to send me this cartridge. This is going to happen. You're going to go to the girl. who knows Snoop Dogg's sister. And then you're going to tell her to ask Snoop Dogg to donate to a very important charity. It's called the Noel Fund. Money for Noel. I love this song. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's a great picture right there. This is like that Rob Liefeld Captain America picture, but like they proportioned it better. He spent so much time getting a headache from Ryu. Let's play as Ryu. I think it's cool. Played as Alex, played as Ken, no, plays Ryu. Plays all the main characters in Street Fighter. Now, with Sinister, it sounds like, you know, I mean, you're definitely on your grind, man. Like, it sounds like you work really hard. And that's to be commended. Like, for sure. Because, you know, I know what it's like to just, like, do a lot of work, and then it's like, why don't I have more money, you know? Substitute teaching, I mean, that could definitely be the case. There'd be, like, times... Substitute teaching was so crazy. Because there'd be, like, sometimes, like, oh, you have stable work and you have good money. And then there's other times where it's like, wow, I have $10 in the bank. It's like you'd go apply, like, I don't know, for something, I don't know, like some kind of a loan, or someone would want to, like, know how much money you make for a survey or something. It's like, well, I'm a substitute teacher, so my income fluctuates wildly. It's like, well, how much do you make a year? It's like, I don't know. Because there's no way to know. It's like, oh, this week you have $30. This next week you got a paycheck for like $1,200 because you did like stable work. Now your paycheck is back to $20. You know, it's not for that bad. Like, you don't get $20, but it's, I don't know, it's a thing, so. First world problems. I thought I bought spaghetti and meat sauce for dinner, and I mistakenly got spaghetti and meatballs. That's good, though. I like spaghetti and meatballs. I mean, I'm Italian, though, so I have to like that. It's my people's way. I actually live near the best restaurant for spaghetti and meatballs. In fact, I need to get some of that in the near future. I like how Necro's little girlfriend, like, runs and passes out with him, you know? See, you know, this game, really, really good. Great music, great style, but I mean, you know, we've all got to be missing that victory screen where, you know, your character stands victorious over your fallen foe, and, like, each one has got this, like, beautiful artwork to it. Because it's like, while these character portraits are super nice, I mean, they're just kind of underwhelming after you go from, it's like, oh, wow, these, like, really custom, detailed paintings of all these characters in these really dynamic poses. And now we just have kind of, you know, here's a headshot of this character smiling in front of a screen with a solid color. Which I mean, if you want to do that, you got to, like, start busting out the comic book screen tone stuff, you know. Get some Roy Lichtenstein going here where, you know, I'm in a comic book. You know, like, I love that. Like, that's, again, to go back to what's wrong with American comics now, they don't look like comic books. Give me solid, bright colors. Stop trying to, like, again, I don't want my comic book to look like your effing art school or portfolio, and that's not me dissing art school. I mean, there's plenty of times where it's like, I wish, I don't know, like, I have, my stepbrother works in, he's got an art degree, and, like, what he does, he's basically just, like, a graphic designer for an advertising firm. Like, that's not really what, I want to be a comic book guy. I want to draw manga. I want to write stories. But it's hard, man. I mean, it's like, you don't just roll out of bed and be Jim Lee. Or Akira Toriyama, you know? Like, you gotta be lucky and talented and just put a ton of work into it. And then you have to be lucky. The special stage for beating up the car in the first one has got some really good music to it. It's funny because financial inconsistency is a huge running joke for the Simpsons family. It's true. Do you want to be my favorite student, Sean? Now let's fight like gentlemen. When I get these gigs to draw, like and do caricatures and take requests, every freaking time there's a little girl who wants a unicorn, and I hate drawing horses. I mean, like I've done some steel ball run artwork that I think the horses turned out okay in, but when you're just like on the spot, it's like draw me a unicorn. It's like I don't spend my time drawing horses. I need to apparently, because apparently little girls just want horse pictures all the time. It's cool how Balrog fights like Mike Tyson, and then yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know exactly who Dudley fights like. He's definitely got a different fighting style, though. He holds his hands completely differently. I mean, for me, I really like the peekaboo style. I love being square to an opponent and then having that range of movement. Because when I first started to box, it's like they tried to teach me like the orthodox way to box where you kind of stand sideways, and I'm left-handed, but as I've practiced more, I discover I step much, much better fighting right-handed with my left foot forward because my left foot is more intuitive for me. So I actually taught myself how to box right-handed, and I just remember like early on boxing, like I was just like a deer in the headlights with that orthodox stance, and then a friend of mine was saying, no, stand square. And I'm like, really? It's like, I thought you're supposed to stand at an angle. And because he was like practicing a lot of Muay Thai. And he's like, no, stand square. And it's like, well, that's like how Mike Tyson fights. And all I do is watch Mike Tyson. And so then, practicing with him, I just watched a ton of Mike Tyson and started looking up peekaboo boxing videos on YouTube, like Joey Hadley's peekaboo boxing and, Kevin Rooney. And, so I don't know. And then I feel really comfortable. I don't know. I mean, I haven't sparred I've never had an amateur match or anything like that. But I've been training regularly for a couple of years. And when the gym had people in it, I sparred all the time. And, I haven't sparred with someone in a long time. But as I started to fight more right-handed right before the quarantine hit, I was really doing, I was doing really a lot better. And I love the head movement in peekaboo boxing, too. Just the fact that you have that rhythm and lack of... it's always harder to hit a moving target. And the fact, you stand square to your opponent, you have to keep your head moving back and forth because it's going to be harder to hit your head. And then you kind of get in that rhythm of, like, they swing at you and you, like, duck and loop around and then you can try to land a shot. It's a lot of fun when you're not getting punched in the head. But, I think, honestly, like, Italians and black people, I think, have really hard heads. And, I remember Lennox Lewis saying he broke his hand on Mike Tyson's head, and people have told me that they've messed up their hands on my head. You hear about what's his face, Rocky Marciano having a chin like a piece of granite, So I don't know. I think I'm by no means Mr. Tough Guy, but I think that a lot of Italians and a lot of black dudes are genetically inclined toward having advantages in boxing. by tending to have hard heads, and Italians tend to be pretty stocky. So they'll, kind of just be a little ball of energy. And that'll load your punches. Kind of like you're low to the ground and you move up. I think there are more KOF games than Street Fighter games. Hang on a second. I want to see what you're talking about. A breakfast burrito here. Okay. All right. King of Fighters had installments every year, but to me it looks like Street Fighter had a spin-off every 3 months. Interesting. Unicorn is crazy because it's just the horse with a horn. You said comic book. Hang on a second here. Love this theme. It's beautiful. You said comic book guy. My mind went right to The Simpsons. Worst episode ever. The breakfast burrito seems like some busy parent or working person threw their entire breakfast into a tortilla and called it a burrito. There's all the KOF games. KOF definitely in the 90s. I know they always had like a game a year. Now, since, there's no more Neo Geo AES, I mean, they've definitely slowed it down. They stopped doing the KOF by year and started doing it by number to reflect the fact that they weren't going to have a KOF every year. Darn it, man. He's like evil Necro. Although, I mean, the Illuminati's not really, like, palpably evil in this game. They're just, like, shady. Come on! Ooh, binary code. You know what they really need to do? They gotta give me some backstory on Q. I don't consider Neo Wave part of the KOF saga. I actually really like the Neo Wave on Game Boy Advance. I kind of want to fight Hugo. I'm not ducking 12. I just feel like fighting Hugo. See poison. Place has got a cool level, pretty German attic with some really cool stuff going on in the background. I don't know if you guys follow this kind of news or not, but I'm a big fan. I'm horrendous at Resident Evil. I love it, but I'm not good at it. Biohazard. I like the first one where they had like live action actors. And there's, people have been looking for Jill Valentine's actress Inez, and they actually found her. And I'm just waiting for them to actually... Noel, you're thinking of EX Neo Blood. Yes! Oh, no, you're talking about Neo Wave on the Xbox, which I do have and do like. That game is kind of weird. It's like kind of like a tech demo for the post-AES KOF. Man. I heard that Neo Geo is coming out with their own, like, kind of arcade one-up, which I really would like to get that, but I don't know if I got room for it in the game room. But that's something that I might have to make room for. Now, they are coming out with a Marvel vs. Capcom arcade one-up. And that looks cool as hell, but the problem with that is I've already got, like, I think arcade perfect versions of all those games, And I do have the Marvel Superheroes arcade one up. So I don't know what to do. And those are all, are knocking around the $300 to $500 range. So we're talking like we're going to have to get some serious disposable income to get either of those things. And if I do get the Neo Geo one, I think I'd probably have to move out one of my PVMs, which would be the Panasonic one, which I don't use that much. But I don't want to waste a good PVM either because they're so beautiful and hard to find. See, I have, like, massive appreciation for CRT TVs. Like, I can't stand to see one go to waste. God, I'm alright. NeoWave is an alternate O2. Yes, it is. Fun fact, NeoWave is made by SNK Playmore. O2 is not. Interesting. The nature of these streams and texting is so fast and more akin to make errors. That's fine. It's Sean again. Come on, man. I'm hitting the parry. Ah, I didn't make it. The twins here. Yang is essentially indistinguishable from Troa from Gundam Wing. See, there he is. It's Troa. Tell me there's a difference. Except he's not in a giant robot called Heavy Arms. Noel, do you stream... I think I did stream Neo Wave before, but I'll definitely stream it again. It seems like the fighting game streams are what people tend to enjoy the most. Because I'm like the best at fighting games, and I think my enthusiasm might come through. I mean, I think the other streams, I don't know, it's up to you, but I don't think any of our streams have, like, I have interest in all the games that I play. It's just that I'm not as good at some of them, and it's probably not as fun for the viewers to watch someone play a game that they're not kind of in, like, so good at. It's more about, like, oh, you're my friend, I want to watch you play a game and talk, you know? Whereas, like, if you're actually, like, really into the genre, yeah, it adds an extra layer of things. But at the same time, I do like the idea of, you know, mixing it up and showing some obscure stuff. Because I don't always just play fighting games. I'm actually, you know, I'm really into Famicom. I'm really into Sega Genesis, Mega Drive. I love my RPGs. You know, I like my 90s platform, 80s platform games, you know... But there's just something about a good fighting game. And it's fun to watch, too, because it's like watching a fight. Oh, man. Ah, jeez. Well done. Shush. You know what I didn't like about Neo Wave? The characters, when they won, they didn't say anything. It was just kind of weird. You get these, like, kind of cool pictures, and then, like, they just wouldn't say anything. It's like you couldn't be bothered to just come up with generic dialogue, or better yet, just paste dialogue from previous games. The most disappointing King of Fighters was 12. That had pretty graphics, but it literally was just a tech demo for the graphics. Like, that should not have been released. 13, I think, is one of the best 2D fighting games ever made. And I think KOF 13 is the best King of Fighters game. The only constructive criticism I even have about KOF 13 is they made Terry and Rio look really weird. Like, they made some characters like kind of like fat buff, and like they made their skin tone really dark, and like I think they like whited out Rio's pupils. It looked really weird. He kind of looked like Akuma on steroids, which is kind of cool, but at the same time it's not Rio. Other than that, though, it's not even that bad. It's just a weird character design choice. They made Yuri way too skinny. Like, I mean, I thought she looked really good in her previous iterations, but they made her really scrawny. But, I mean, again, those are design choices. The game itself, it plays beautifully, it looks beautiful, and it does everything. Beautiful arcade mode, great story, just everything's excellent about it. Hang a sec here. They made Maya look all old. Yes, but she had other attributes. Do you like streaming on console? No, I don't just stream on one console per live stream. This one I am, just because I am playing my Street Fighter collection on my Xbox One, but there's actually a lot of live streams that we've done where I just will like move the camera around and go to like different monitors in the room. So it just depends, you know. I like to try to have a theme to try to unify things, kind of give some kind of direction or give the viewer some expectation. So the short answer is no. But sometimes yes. Why is Akuma being so annoying? Let's fight Urian. Everyone always talks about women being scantily clothed. Well, behold Urian in all his glory. You know, as a YouTuber I've been watching that I really enjoy is the Critical Drinker. He's this Scottish movie critic and pop culture critic that basically does these really, really intelligent deconstructions of nerd culture. But he does it through like the character of a drunk, like Scottish 30-something. It's fantastic. I don't advocate getting drunk. It's just really funny, you know? He's like, well, blokes, let me tell you about this. If you break it down to its individual components, you'll see that it's full of this, and that. It's good stuff. He's doing one about the state of the comic book industry in America. He's like, long-valued tropes like, rivalry, heroism, betrayal have made ways for more contemporary concepts like partisan political lectures, feminist lectures, mandatory diversity training. I like Geese Howard and everything. Urian sounds like urine. Yeah. I like Akuma and Tekken 7. So do I. And Geese is also awesome. I love Urian's laugh when he wins. It's like really just... He's like Pyron, actually, but just a screwed up dude. You never get bored of this, do you? I could say the same to you. Okay, then. I'll make this quick and easy for you. Prepare for defeat. You may think so, but I've still got the better record. Let's fist bump it out. Yeah. My brother from another mother. I like how Ken and Ryu are best friends. Really a nice parallel of the relationship between America and Japan. Friends and rivals. That did well. This level's got some beautiful music in it. You know, they made New York graffiti look so beautiful in this game. Ah, jeez. Ah, darn it. You never get bored of this, do you? No, I don't. I could play Street Fighter all day. And all night. But I won't, because I need to get sleep. You'll notice on some live streams I'd start rambling into incoherence by this point. But when I'm playing a good fighting game, I'm very much on my toes. I love role-playing games from Japan, but I cannot, I always say this, I can't read at night. I always try to do it, and then, I was, watching an old live stream the other day, and I was, playing Sonic. I think it was, 1 o'clock. It was, really, I don't know if it was 1 o'clock or not. I was really tired. I didn't have a lot of sleep. And I just remember, there was at one point where I was just, jumping in one spot, because I was, fighting to stay awake, and I just kept tapping the button I was watching. I was like, why am I jumping in that one spot? And then I would try to talk, and I was basically making sense, but I could tell I was kind of hanging on. Now that might be fun to watch for you guys, is me struggling to stay lucid, or not. I don't know. You might be like, yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. But either way, playing a fighting game, I'm much more on my toes. And no! You know what game is a really good but not as good version of Street Fighter 3 is Art of Fighting 3. That's a really pretty game in its own right. If you haven't watched it, there's actually one of our streams where I actually beat Art of Fighting 2, which is something I'm pretty proud of. I never thought I'd be able to do that, till Santino kept insisting I play it, and I figured out how to exploit the problems with the computer's AI. But just playing it like this game, you'd never be able... I couldn't do it, at least. I'm getting super combo finished by Ken, who's, not being really cheap. The computer's just being, really on point with everything. Art of Fighting 2, that AI is just broken as hell. It's like Mortal Kombat 2 level bullshit. I farted. Well done. Boo Boo is doo-doo. Was it hard gas? Is that why your name is Boo Boo is doo-doo? And welcome to the stream, my friend. Have you beaten the Tenchi Muyo RPG? Yeah, I have sadly not beaten any RPGs yet because I was working on my manga. And any free time I had, I was just, I spent that kind of time doing the manga. And the other thing, too, is, I have all these RPGs that I love and I'm super excited about, and then I just feel like I never have time to get into them, or I'm too tired to play them because reading late at night makes me fall asleep. Or like right now, I just got a new version. I got okay. So I have the Dreadful Bio Monster Jesus RPG on the Nintendo on the Famicom, and I got it in English, and it's a pretty rare game. You got to find it through like Etsy stores and stuff like that to get the English translation. And this really nice guy made me actually one version of the game that just did not work right. I think he made the cartridge wrong. And he was really nice about it. He sent me another one, and like the cartridge had all the same. It didn't play right. So I actually went to Fancy Games, and I saw that he was selling Jesus on there, and I said to him, I was like, this is the problem I have with this game. Is this something that is wrong with the cartridge, or is it just the game in general? He's like, I get no glitches with the game like what you're describing. So, he tested it out, he made me one, and I bought it, and it works really well so far, and I really would like to get into playing that, because it's a really interesting text RPG, kind of horror story. I love text-based RPGs that are like, kind of like combining reading a book with playing a video game. Like I'm cool with stuff being linear. I'm not a big open world guy. I don't hate it, but I'm much more cool with just let me just get through the story here and enjoy myself, I like how they have graffiti for Ken and Alex's name in the background here. They both decided to graffito tag public property. It was an accident. There we go. Mark of the Wolves is the SNK Street Fighter 3. Yeah, it is pretty true. Damn. I think Etsy is better for buying old obscure games than... Do you think... yes. But it depends. Here's a qualification. Etsy can have amazing quality reproduction cards. And the other good thing about Etsy is if you're buying reproduction cards, they're going to make them in English because the fans will translate the game and then put it in a cartridge that can look just as good and, in fact, more unique than a standard cartridge. Sometimes. But the flip side is... it's, if you're into collecting, your reproduction cartridges are not always going to be, if you're into the, I want the original cartridge thing, it's going to be different. They're not going to be worth as much. You're not going to have that much of an investment. It's, might not have this exactly the same quality to the build of it. But the flip side of that is that if you get a reproduction cartridge, that's custom made for you. That's not going to have dirt on it. It's going to have a new battery. It's going to be like you bought it new. Damn. So, I don't know. On the one hand, okay, so let me give you an example. I have a Famicom Disk System that, as of right now, does not work. And I have two games on it. One is Super Mario Bros. 2, and the other is Biomiracle Bukute Upa, which is it's like a platformer about a baby with superpowers that Konami made in the late 80s that's really, really fun. Anyway, I can't play it. So I'm thinking to myself, it's like I can either order a repro card of this from Fancy Games, which produces incredible quality repros. He clearly says that they're repros. But they're so pretty. He's got, different colors for the different cartridges. The games work like a dream. He's easy to work with. He's fast. He stays in contact with you. It's just great. He'll charge you, not exorbitant fees, but, you're going to drop about $50 on a really good quality reproduction cartridge, But at the same time, I could get Upa from him, or I could just try to track down the Famicom cartridge version of it and play it on my Famicom. And I don't know. I actually don't know what to do because I do want to. I'd like to get the Famicom version, but at the same time, I could get a big NES cartridge that's yellow. That I mean, one thing I like about Famicom is I just like the way that the cartridges look, and I like my Famicom. I mean, most NES games can play on a Famicom with a converter. The really, like Metal Slater Glory and Biomonster Jesus will not play right because they need more pins if you put it on a NES cartridge. Well, incidentally, like the guy who made me the Jesus game that wouldn't work on the Famicom or the top loader, Metal Slater Glory works just fine. So I don't know, something about the Jesus cart that he made that didn't work quite right. But he's a really cool guy. Etsy, actually, you talk to the sellers a bit more. It's kind of, So I don't know. It just depends on what you're looking for. You want a new custom-made cartridge? Go with Etsy. I mean, both can kind of be a crapshoot. I feel cool for playing GTA on PlayStation years before GTA 3. Yeah, brother. Reports are good for NES Satellaview games. Those repros are good for Satellaview games. Yes. I have Radical Dreamers on a repro cartridge. In fact, they actually have been kind of thinking about getting another Radical Dreamers cartridge, but this time from the Fancy Games store on Etsy, because he does color cartridges, and I think it would be really cool to get a kind of like a ruby red cartridge for Radical Dreamers, because the Frozen Flame is ruby red. Yeah, Satellaview, you've got to go repro for Satellaview. Those games have no physical copies. I just can't stand people like Pat the NES Punk, who has like a stick up his ass about like repros. He's like, oh, well, it's bad for the collector's market. It's like, no, it's not. He's like, oh, well, you're stealing someone's intellectual property. It's like, no, you're not. They're not selling the games anymore. They're not, like, dude, if someone starts making, like NES games or Famicom games or Super Nintendo games again, like on that medium, by all means, buy them. But, there's a used game market, number one, that people can buy and sell their own used video games secondhand. And the other thing is they're not making those games. Like, no one is ever going to sell Battle Golf for Yui in English on the Sega Genesis. Enix is not going to make Star Ocean available in English on the Super Nintendo. It's not going to happen. So, play a repro. Like, seriously, the hell is your problem? No, I couldn't get it off. I did, but he flew above it. No, did you ever get the Sega channel? I sadly did not. On my Sega Mega Drive Mini, there are some Sega Channel games on there. They're nothing really to write home about from what I've done. I haven't spent a ton of time with them, but I mean, they're cool and all, but I mean, they're just kind of like little basic games. I think, kind of like Flicky-esque. Should have set this to one round. I mean, if this starts dragging too much, we really might need to wind down the stream, because when I started the stream, I had about 75% battery on the phone, which is pretty good. But, you never know. You're streaming on the phone for like 3 hours. What the freak, man? I clearly swept him before he kicked. Incidentally, this guy's got no life left. I hate it when they do that. Come on. Pyrokinesis. Darn it. Well, that one hit. Better than nothing. Meanwhile, he's sitting on, like, max power. He's pretty much just toying with me here. Noel, Geese in Art of Fighting 2 or in KOF Neo Wave? Art of Fighting 2, just because his voice is better. I mean, his voice isn't bad in Neo Wave, but it's kind of weird. I just like how he says... I like his voice better in Art of Fighting 2. Like, a lot better. Like, buzz off. Buzz off. Diabo. Come on, Yellow Belly. Whereas in, like, Neo Wave, he's kind of like, you're not worth my disgust. Like, alright? I also like how Geese yells in Art of Fighting, too. Like, oh! Oh! I've got enough for a super move, don't I? Oh, come on, you... Oh, he's got Resurrection. Oh, come on, man. Ugh, Gil. Geese in Art of Fighting 2 looked like Gordon Gekko from Wall Street. Yeah, that was actually really cool. The evil police commissioner, Geese Howard. I think I still think my favorite thing story-wise that SNK ever did was the Super Famicom, Super Nintendo ending to the original Art of Fighting. When you played it, when you got the good ending. Ryu, come on! Oh, man! Art of Fighting 2 had the best 2D sprite work. It really did. I mean, it was an insanely beautiful game, and the music was amazing as well. And the commercials for it were probably the best fighting game commercials ever made, with Ayumi Hamasaki. Like, the gameplay itself, where you play the computer, is so insane. Like, I mean, people like to use the word broken for fighting games. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's like, unless you're exploiting the AI with fast jabs with certain characters, I don't know how to beat that game playing it normally. You know, fast jabs and knowing special moves with characters with a fast jab, and kind of like watching how many steps you are away from the character. And even that, it's definitely not foolproof, but you can start winning matches that way. And that's how I did it. Like, just pick a guy with a fast jab, like Mickey or Temjin or King, and, you know, you'll be okay. Just, you know, kind of just keep the pressure up. But there's no flow to the fights, really. It's more just like a frantic, like, I'm in the middle of this and I need to survive, and let me just keep hitting these buttons. Like, this game, it's got a flow to it. Like, everything's got a flow. You know, you're moving around, you're thinking about your moves, you're trying different strategies. You know, Art of Fighting 2 had you might have had that playing against a friend, but against a computer, not so much. on. That's a whole lot of nothing. Geese and AOF2 looked like Andy Bogard. Yes. Yes, they both look like Geese. In fact, my son has confused Andy with Geese. He's like, look, there's long-haired Geese. I disagree with them because you're right. They look exactly the same, especially in Neo Wave. Like, I think in Neo Wave, literally, they just put Andy Bogard in, like, Art of Fighting 2 Geese gear. He gave him Geese's moves and had a voice actor with a high-pitched voice, a high-pitched, gravelly voice, saying things that Geese said in Art of Fighting 2. Oof. Cryokinesis sounds like he's saying wild kinesis. I mean, we're going to have to wrap it up if we can't beat him in the fairly near future. Come on, come on, come on! Good, there's one. Ah, man, again, if we only had this on one round, we would have beaten him by now. He's sitting on that super move. Good thing, though, is we got the first round. That was well. Nah, how did he block that? So the question is, what kind of super move is he sitting on here? Is it Resurrection or is it that crazy Archangel screen explosion thing? God damn it. Damn it! Nah, jeez. I almost had him. Bait him in to use the I tried to. Oh, it's just a meteor rain. That's not too bad. That's exactly what I was trying to do, and it wasn't working. The thing about this game is the meters are a little hard to read. Damn it. I'm on the wrong side of the screen! Oh, I hate having a hard time with the super moves on this side of the screen. Especially when you're against a boss like that and you're like, it's so kind of touch and go. Alright, we'll give it a few more shots here. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Incidentally, if you haven't listened to the Street Fighter 3 soundtrack, you definitely should do yourself a favor and listen to the opening and the character select music. That's excellent stuff. And then, you know, Levels have just got really good music as well, but really, the character select and attract mode music are just fantastic. Well, we're off to a good start, at least. There we go. Followed your advice. It's like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You're in my range. Just trying to time those sweep kicks. Again, I have no idea what he's sitting on for a super move. Could be something. Could be nothing. Again, it's just Meteor Rain. Damn it! The battery's clear. I think the battery's getting low on my phone, so this is probably gonna have to be the last one here. I'm seeing the screen getting dim. Damn it! Ah, shit, he's got Resurrection. Oh, come on. We're going to run out of time if we don't beat him. But we lost. And I can't go anymore because... but the cool thing about this being on Xbox is we can actually just suspend the game. It'll pick it up next time. So, there we have it. They aren't mine, so you can rag on them if you want. But did you think about those sprites? They're really pretty, man. They're really, really pretty. I like them a lot. So, you know, we would go till we beat Gil, but he's being a bit of a pill, and we're pretty much out of battery here on the phone. So, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So let's all go to bed or have a big bowl of strawberry ice cream. One or the other, I don't care. But thank you for watching. And if you're interested in checking out the manga, go to my YouTube channel, and it should be the top 2 newest videos, or go to the Noel ComiX playlist. Imagine if Gil had a win quote, "At least I'm not Ivan Ooze." Yes, that would be fantastic. Going to bed. Good night, Noel. Good night, everyone. Good night, International Channel 4 Life. Good night, True Sinister. Good night, Arrow. Good night, all my friends. Thank you for showing your interest and my interests. And yeah, it's going to be next Friday, because it's not my turn to buy. So my wife and I alternate buying dinner every other week. So I bought last week. She's going to buy this week. Then I'll buy, unless she wants to take us to Doug's. So I don't know. But before my battery dies, I'm going to wish you all farewell. Take care. Good night. Thanks so much. And I will see you in the very near future. Bye-bye.